Your Honor, this is case number 456 on the calendar in the matter of Wells versus Howells. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Wells, according to what I've read, sir, you and the defendant had a glorious 11-year relationship. Sometimes on, sometimes off. Now it's off. It's over. But about 2 years ago, when it was over, it is your claim that Miss Howells, while you were incarcerated on some kind of domestic dispute, she stole all of your personal property. So that's the first part of your lawsuit, that you want your personal property from 2 years ago.
Yes.
Then, more recently, in 2002, you got back together again. And you claim that you proposed marriage, and you gave her a ring. And then a month or so later, the relationship ended for good, so you want the ring back.
Yes.
Miss Howells says that she deserves the ring. She doesn't even address the stuff, but she says she deserves the ring after 11 years of being with you. And she's counterclaiming because she says in November, which is the date of the final breakup, that you assaulted her, and she wants to be compensated for her pain and suffering, whatever medical bill she has. So I'm not going to get into what you say Miss Howells took 2 years ago, and I'm going to tell you why, sir. Have you been incarcerated for the last 2 years?
No.
Then would you like to tell me why you did not pursue this matter for 2 years?
Well, Your Honor.
I know who I am, so just tell me why.
The reason why is because we have been together and on and off so many times that I've lost count, and these things that I want are things that I bought with my own money. I've paid Ms. Howells numerous amounts of cash and dining and trips to Mexico, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and I've been slapped in the face, and I'd like to have my things back.
Well, you should have been more vigilant, Mr. Wells. Courts are set up to deal with divorces. They're not set up to deal with almost marrieds, almost togethers, 11-year relationships that don't pan out. You had 2 years in which to act, you didn't. But I'm going to get to the ring for a second. Where's the ring, Miss Howells?
The ring, I returned to Costco in Medford, Oregon, and gave them a picture of the attack of my right arm, and they returned the money to me.
How much money did they return?
$1,099.
That's what you owe him, $1,099. Is that what you paid for the ring, Mr. Wells?
Yes.
An engagement ring is given in anticipation of getting married. You didn't get married, you don't keep the ring or the value thereof because you returned the ring. You don't keep the cash because you feel as if you deserve it. You don't. If you're foolish enough to live with somebody who abuses you and who makes your life miserable, that's your problem. You don't get to keep the ring. So you get $1,099, sir, on your complaint.
Okay.
Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. I want you to tell me what happened in November when you claimed that Mr. Wells assaulted you.
Okay, Mr. Wells and I, being he was having some behavior problems, I was going to drive us to a Christian marriage counseling. It was a 2-day seminar. We tried to find the place where it was going to take place and could not find it. So we decided to just go to dinner and, and forget about it. So we went to dinner, had a couple drinks, and then on the way home, we stopped at this nightclub. It's a steakhouse nightclub. He started verbally accusing me things of looking at some guy in the bar and things like that, starting a fight. And I was having a good time. And anyway, so we get to my home, and, it escalated. So we get out of the car, go in the house, and he all of a sudden just turned into a totally different person and told me that, called me some names, and then he told me he was going to kick that TV in, the big screen TV, and he was going to slap me in my face, and he was going to walk out the door and get a taxi and go home. Well, he didn't have any money. So he grabbed my phone and proceeded out the door with it. I said, "Give me my phone back." Anyway, he slammed it down on the cement. I said, "Scott, calm down." He came back inside my home, and he just was out of control. I said, "I will give you the money to take a taxi, if that's your big, thing." I go, "Why can't you just get along with me and we can just, work this out? Why do you have to be like this?" And anyway, he grabbed my purse at one time, ran to the door, and then I ran after him and got my purse away because I had some money in it. We kind of backed up. I kind of backed to my kitchen counter, and something in my heart told me I just better make it to the door and scream because of the way he was carrying on and going out of his mind. And anyway, so I ran to the door, got the door open. I opened the door with my right hand, And he immediately, and I got to scream out for help, and he immediately grabbed my right arm. It's really hard, and he covered up my mouth, dragged me to my office. It's a second bedroom I use for my office. He dragged me in there and told me the police are going to come, oh, you know, and how much he loved me, and oh, he just carried on, you know, please, you know, tell him I left, you know. Because actually, when he grabbed me on my arm and grabbed me around my face, I thought he was going to kill me.
Okay, so he grabbed you by the arm, put his hands across your mouth and said, please don't scream because the police are going to come. Tell him I'm not here.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, so then the police came, and anyway, he hid in my closet, and they pulled him out of the closet, but he had put something in one of my shoes.
What did he put in one of your shoes?
I have the police report, Your Honor.
What did he put in your shoe?
Meth, drugs.
Drugs. So who was arrested?
He was arrested.
What about
I didn't press charges.
What about you?
No, I went in and did a urinalysis in my bathroom. They gave me the cup, and I'm clean. You know,
What about him?
No, they took him to jail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm not a drug user.
So this was an isolated instance?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, right.
And later today,
Your Honor, she knew I was going in the hallway.
That doesn't mean anything if she knew you were going in the hallway, Miss Davis.
Yes, Your Honor. This is how it was.
No, it wasn't. Stop making it up as you're going along.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Charles Scott Wells says ex-fiancée Linda Howells owes for the return of property and an engagement ring. Linda says he bought the ring at Costco and she returned it.
All right, Mr. Wells, let's hear your version of the events of the 3rd of November, 2002.
Well, I call this the abuse of the legal system, and here's why. Ms. Howells had made a statement to her neighbor, if I'm murdered, then it's my boyfriend who did it. Well, that was early in the afternoon. Ms. Howells picks me up that evening, takes me out to dinner, takes me back to her house, goes outside, screams help, I get arrested. That's the short version of it. I mean, that's just one incident. And I've got proof right here.
I'd like to see it.
Also, Ms. Howells is sue crazy. She's got 7 lawsuits going. Here's one that's just recent, a whiplash case. That,
Shh, I'm not interested in a whiplash case. Let me see proof, sir.
This, from here on the second page, kind of states what happened.
Why were you hiding in the closet?
The reason I was hiding in the closet is because of an incident that happened 2 years ago that was similar to this, where she had called the police, had me arrested, said that I had threatened her. I went to jail, and that's when I lost my belongings out of my house.
So is that why you were hiding? What about the drugs?
The drugs, I don't do drugs now as isolated incidents.
Just a second. What were the drugs doing in her shoe?
I had put them there.
Why?
Because when Miss Howells opened the door for the police, she said, he's hiding in the closet.
Well, what were you doing walking around with the drugs?
I was on my way.
Methamphetamine. What were you doing walking around with?
It was a foolish mistake, Your Honor. I mean, it was something I am very embarrassed about.
What did you plan to do with it, sir?
Pardon?
I mean, were you going to frame it?
I was going to snort it.
Had you snorted any of it before?
In the past?
Yes.
No, I'm not a drug user. It's
so this was an isolated instance?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, right. Were you given a urine test when you got to the precinct?
Yes.
Is it negative or positive?
I'm not sure what the results were.
Really? All right. Let me see your injuries, please.
Okay. And here's a copy of the police report, what happened. And then there's that on my arm. And then the incident of, it was actually a year prior, November 23rd, 2001.
I'm not interested in what happened the year before. I'm not interested in his property that happened the year before. I'm not interested.
Okay.
Oh, this is a bad bruise.
Very bad. And I had a 5-hour shoulder surgery in 1997 on my shoulder.
Oh, please. I'm not interested in the year of the flood, madam.
And, Your Honor,
Well,
there was no...
No, Your Honor, it caused me paralysis, his grabbing me.
Okay, right now you look just fine, but he gave you a nasty bruise.
There was no report of that when the incident happened with the police. This is all
I didn't
fabricated.
press charges. I tried to protect you.
You admitted to the police, sir, that you last snorted the meth earlier that evening.
Yes, I did. Your Honor, I went down the wrong path there. And
fine. Well, then what you did, sir, you went down the wrong path, and what happened is...
But the drugs have not...
No, listen to me. You went down the wrong path, sir. And what happened when you go down the wrong path and you snort drugs earlier in the evening, your behavior changes. Even your memory of events change. Because what you told me happened was that she set you up that night.
She did.
That she came to take you to dinner, and she drove you home to her house, and then she ran outside and screamed for the police so that she could have you arrested. If that's really what you think, I feel sorry for you. If that's what you want me to believe, I feel sorry for me. Because it's not what happened, sir.
Well, Your Honor,
What happened is you got into an argument with her. You were behaving irrationally. You were a little bit sweaty. I don't know what your circumstance is as we stand here today, and I'm certainly not going to ask you, but I will tell you that night you were acting a little bit irrationally. She went outside and screamed for somebody to call the police, and you got busted. And you got busted for either a disturbance at her home and or the drug possession. You probably pled guilty to the drug possession. Is that a fair statement?
Well, Miss Howells was arrested for marijuana that evening.
Did you?
And she was partying with me.
Did you plead guilty to the drug possession?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So that's over.
Yeah.
So that part is.
I haven't tried
that part is over with. As part of what happened in the course of that evening, sir, you bruised her very badly because you didn't want to get. Oh yeah, you did.
That picture could be from anything. If she was injured, wouldn't she have told the police that night when I was arrested?
A black and blue mark like that doesn't come out 2 seconds later. It comes out. That's what happened. You grabbed her inside. You mean you didn't punch her? She didn't say, he punched me, he kicked me in the back, he threatened to stab me. He said you grabbed her by the arm, which you did, in order to take her inside to shut her up. You were acting irrationally. I don't think that she was seriously injured that night. I don't believe that. But I believe she was injured sufficiently enough to cost you $1,099, which is the cost of the engagement ring. So your claim is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I feel like this is a defeat for men that have women abusing the legal system to get material things from men.
He makes up stories, and he actually believes them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Davis versus Wallace. Step forward, please.
26-year-old homemaker Shoshana Davis and her son, 7-year-old Raleek Wilkes, are suing her aunt, airport security screener Yvette Wallace, for causing her son's finger to be severed.
Miss Davis, Miss Wallace is your aunt, is that right?
Yes.
And this is your son.
Yes.
He's 7?
Yes.
And what's your first name?
Raleek?
Raleek.
Yes.
Miss Wallace, this is your daughter.
Yes.
You like him?
Yes.
Is that right? You play together occasionally? According to your complaint, Miss Davis, you were at your aunt's house, socializing,
Yes.
sitting in the kitchen, having a cup of coffee,
Yes.
and the kids were playing.
Yes.
And at some point, this young lady went into the bathroom.
Yes.
According to you, she slammed Raleek's finger in the door, causing the tip of his finger to come off.
Yes.
And then you took him to the hospital, and they had to find the tip of the finger, and you say Miss Wallace didn't get the tip of the finger there fast enough. To make a long story short, Raleek is missing a little piece of his finger. And you want your aunt to pay for all of his medical bills and for pain and suffering. You want her to pay you $5,000, right?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
You're sitting with your aunt in the kitchen, having a cup of coffee. What happens? Was he in the kitchen with you and followed her into the bathroom?
No, he wasn't. They was playing in Christina's bedroom.
Right.
Christina runs into the bathroom after hitting Raleek. And
She hit him.
Yes.
Where did she hit him?
On my leg?
You mean she hit you because she was angry with you?
No.
Was she playing around? Huh?
Yes.
Sure she was. And then she went into the bathroom. What did you do, Raleek?
I ran after her.
Right. And she slammed the door?
Yes.
And you got your finger caught in the door.
Yes.
So? That's what happened.
Yes. And I'm suing because it's his left hand. He cannot participate in certain activities in school because it's his left hand.
Should have watched him more carefully, Miss Davis. You're his mother. Why didn't you watch him?
I was not in the apartment.
I thought you said you were in the apartment.
Miss Wallace, he was in Miss Wallace's care as I was in the hallway. Now,
Just a second. What do you mean he was... Shh, just a second.
Your Honor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you just told me you were socializing with your aunt.
We was engaging in conversation.
Who was?
Me and the other tenants that live inside the projects. There was an incident in the building, and I was standing in the hallway. I was not in the apartment at the present time.
Just a second. You didn't leave him in her care. Just because she stayed in the apartment and minded her own business, you went outside to mind somebody else's business. If you were so concerned about your son's welfare, you should have stayed in the apartment.
You're right, Your
Why
Honor.
do you blame somebody else?
No, I'm not blaming her at that matter. I'm blaming her because we do conjugate like that.
Fine. Well, then why are you blaming her and suing her for this incident that occurred that had no fault on her part?
Okay.
None at all. Her daughter was playing with your son. He ran after her in the bathroom.
Yes.
She slammed the door.
Yes.
And he got his finger caught in the door because
Yes.
he put his finger in the door. Why should she pay you $5,000?
Why? Because while we was there, no one ever, Christina never apologized. Plus, because of his, this is permanent defective.
But
He
that
has to
doesn't
have
mean that
surgery.
just because he's got a permanent injury doesn't mean that your aunt is liable for that injury.
Why not? If it was done in her house in...
You brought your child there.
Yes.
You are responsible to supervise your child, not her. You.
Yes.
If you had brought your child there and said to her, will you supervise and take care of Ralik while I go to the store?
But Your Honor...
I'm speaking.
Okay.
And she said, I will take care of him. Then you might have a case against
Yes.
her for inadequate supervision.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you're there. You're his mother. He's hurt.
Yes.
He's hurt while in your care. Just because you walked outside to be a yenta in the hallway
No, Your
doesn't
Honor.
mean because you left her in the apartment that she's responsible. No, Miss Davis. You're still responsible.
Your Honor, she knew I was going in the hallway.
That doesn't mean anything if she knew you were going in the hallway, Miss Davis. Doesn't mean anything. She has to assume the responsibility and say to you, I will take care of your son while you go out.
Yes, Your Honor. This is how it was.
No, it wasn't. Stop making it up as you're going along.
Never.
Never. Your case is dismissed, Miss Davis. I want you to get a life. Be responsible. It's your son. You take care of him. Not somebody else. It's not her fault.
But, Your Honor, you didn't even look at his finger.
It doesn't make any difference what happened to his finger, madam. He's your child. You are responsible for supervising him and taking care of him. And don't make it somebody else's fault. It was your fault that you didn't watch him more carefully. If you did, he wouldn't have had his finger chopped off. It's not her fault. She went into the bathroom. They were playing. She slammed the door.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Is this your sister?
Yes, it is.
According to your complaint, some time ago you purchased a house for your mother. The house was in close proximity to where your sister lives.
Yeah.
And the intention was that your sister would take care of your mother because her health was failing. You live far away.
300 miles.
Your mother did pass away when?
December, we buried her Christmas Eve.
Of 2001.
Yes.
And it is your claim that your sister did some unauthorized things with the house. She rented it to someone without your knowledge, and the renters caused damage to the house. You want the money that she took in rent and also to pay for the damage done to the house.
She also sold the appliances that we had in the house.
Your sister says she made certain executive decisions with regard to the house. In whose name is this house titled?
Ours, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
That's correct. You know, Your Honor, I originally thought it was my mom's house. As a matter of fact, I thought it was the sweetest thing they ever did was buy my mom a house as a gift.
Just what? Okay. House is titled in your name?
Yes,
Correct,
it is.
Your Honor.
Okay.
After your mother passed away in December, what kind of communications did you have with your sister with regard to the house?
When she agreed to keep an eye on the house and I gave her a key for emergencies, seeing it's in Chicago and it's wintertime, I was in constant contact with her, and I have a copy of my cell phone bill showing how many times I did call her, and it stops when she refused to start answering the phone.
How come you hadn't put the house on the market for sale?
We didn't put it on for sale.
No, we weren't sure what we were going to do with the house.
Well, what were your options?
Sell it, rent it.
Okay. Was there any financial arrangement between you and your sister that you were going to pay her any money with regard to keeping an eye on the house?
No.
No.
Now, when did you go to the house and find that there were tenants there?
This was on April 12th, 2002. We had a chance or an opportunity to go there to check up on the house and find out why she hadn't been answering the phone. We walked in, I found the door unlocked. We found cars in the backyard. I seen my sister standing right there as soon as I walked in the house. And she's standing there with her hands on her hips, and she sees me. And the first thing out of her mouth was, they won't pay me the second month's rent. It was amazing, unbelievable.
You say there were appliances that were sold. What appliances were sold?
Washer, dryer, refrigerator, 2 TVs, VCR.
Air conditioner that came with the house.
We came in, everything was gone.
When you came in on April 12th, everything was gone?
Everything was out of the house. I asked her how come she did it. She says, I needed money. So then I confronted her about the house. She says, well, you weren't living there. And I says, we didn't tell you to sell anything. We didn't tell you to rent it. I mean, it's not yours to rent, and it's not your things to sell.
Yeah. Okay, I'll hear from you now. Your mother passed away in December of 2001. You were watching the house. So, tell me what happened.
Oh, my sister says she saw strangers there. This is a friend of ours from grammar school. Her son needed a place to stay. The house was vacant, and I was in between jobs, so I thought I would make it a win-win situation. I would make a couple extra dollars. I was going to tell her, I didn't stop taking your calls. That's all made up. I never stopped taking your calls.
Just a second. Just talk to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. But anyways, I just thought I was helping somebody. I really thought, my friend's son needed a place to stay. He just had a newborn baby. There's an empty place there. Nobody's in there. It's the middle of winter. I was going to rent it out, but then he was short on money, and he didn't have any money, and I wanted to wait to tell her until I had money. I was going to tell her, but I wanted to pay her. And I really
tell me about
sold
the appliances
because I needed the money. When he didn't come up with any money for rent, he gave me $200, and I needed to pay some bills too, and those aren't my sister's appliances. Those are all my mom's things. She may have bought the house that I thought was my mother's, but she didn't. Those are my mom's things.
What things were your mom's?
It's my mom's furniture.
No. We're talking about appliances.
Okay, my mom's appliances, my mom's furniture, my mom's everything that was in there.
Let me ask
it's
you
not my
question.
sister's.
When you purchased the house,
yeah,
was there a refrigerator in the house?
No, Your Honor, we had previously purchased all of these appliances for my mother before we even bought the house for her. She had those in her apartment. And we have receipts.
Do you have her
using our charge card to pay for the items.
No, just a second. Wait. You purchased those things for your mother.
Correct.
As a gift.
Yes.
For her old apartment.
Yes.
Right.
Once you make a gift to someone, they're no longer yours. So if your mother moved those things into the house, those items of personal property become part of her estate. Don't belong to you. Are there 2 siblings, just the 2 of you?
No, Your Honor.
How many children are there?
We have 2 others, but they're not involved in any of them.
Well, I can't make any judgment with regard to the appliances. The appliances are not yours. Do you understand that? Once you purchased them for your mother and gave them to her for her old place, they became her property, not your property anymore. The fact that your sister sold them is wrong, but it's not just you that's involved if you have 2 other siblings, because if you wish to make a big deal about it, then what you do is you have to get all 4 siblings, decide what the property was sold for, and each of you would get 1/4 of that. You would not get 100% of it.
So if we buy it and pay for it ourselves, it's not ours no more.
No, it is not yours. Not if you give it to somebody else. It's not yours anymore. You gave it to somebody. I'll put it to you another way. Let's say that your mother purchased appliances for you and gave them to you for your house, which is what you did for your mother.
Yeah.
And you moved them into a second house or a third house. Whose appliances are they?
Okay.
Whose appliances are they? They're yours. Somebody gave you a gift. Your mother-in-law gave you a gift. You made a gift to your mother. There was no arrangement with her that the title to this property would remain in your name, that you were just loaning these items to her. You were being good children.
May I make a comment about what Joan had said earlier?
Yes.
She did know that the house was under our name because...
not, you guys, and you know.
Yes, you did. Even if you didn't care. Even if you didn't care. You had no right to exercise any control over that property. And if you didn't know that the property was in their name, then you should have found out. And I'm going to tell you why else I know that you knew the property was in your sister's and her husband's name. Because if you needed money, it's clear from what you say, you were in desperate need for money because you had bills to pay, you were in desperate need for money, you would have said to your sister, we have to sell the house because I need the money because I'm really stressed out now financially.
Well, Judge, can I say something?
Sure.
The situation just came about. I didn't go look for a tenant. It just, somebody knew.
You knew the house was in their name, and you had no... Yes, you did.
No, Eddie. You could ask Eddie. I called him, and we talked when he bought that. I was crying. I told him that it was the sweetest thing he ever had done I ever heard of anyone doing for somebody.
How old was your mother?
She was in her 70s. And he gave that to her as a Christmas gift.
Baloney.
That's what he was...
Hey, listen, Why in the world would these people, who are not stupid people, make a gift to a woman who was probably not in very good health, in her 70s, and knowing that if she passed away in 2 months or 3 months, that property would become part of an estate and would be divided among 4 children?
No, I didn't.
4 children.
I didn't look ahead to what would happen.
You don't look ahead at all, madam.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She admitted it to the police that she collected $600.
I didn't tell the police any of that.
Oh, quiet down.
I'm not trying, Your Honor. I'm
reading something. Could you be quiet? I mean, are you on medication?
I'm not on medication.
Good, then be quiet.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Mary and Edward Gonzalez say Mary's sister Joan Pulowski rented their home and sold their belongings without permission. Joan says she thought the house was owned by her deceased mother.
Okay. How much did you get for the rent for the first month?
$200.
What kind of damage was done to the property?
Your Honor, they told us they paid her $600.
They didn't.
Sir, listen to me. That's hearsay.
Your
Could
Honor,
I see the damage that was done to the house?
She admitted it to the police that she collected $600, and I have
Let
a
me
copy
see
of the police report.
No, I didn't.
Let me
That's
see
a copy of the police report, and she admits that to the police.
I didn't tell the police any of that.
Well, that's the police report.
Oh, quiet down.
But I did not, because I know what they gave me. And that's why I was telling you that they didn't give me the rest, otherwise I would have given you something. You guys, I'm not trying to, Your Honor,
I'm reading something. Could you be quiet? I mean, are you on medication?
No, I'm not.
Good.
I'm not on medication.
Good, then be quiet. Well, this doesn't say that she was paid $600. This says she agreed to rent them the premises for $600 a month since it was vacant. It doesn't say she was paid $600. Okay. Now let me see photographs of the damage that was done to the house.
The Polaroids, Your Honor, are the damages after we cleaned the place out.
It took us 2 days to clean the place up, Your Honor.
And the house, we bought the house, it was totally remodeled. Everything
It
was
has brand new rugs, walls. It was all brand new done. There's holes everywhere. The rugs were totally trashed.
Your Honor, my mom lived there for a little while, too. It's not like it was brand new.
Your Honor.
How long was your mother there?
Just 2 weeks. But we were all, my 3 kids were there, too. And
Well, if your kids were there and your mother was there for 2 weeks, then you're responsible for this damage.
Well, maybe, I don't know exactly what damages they saw. I didn't see it all, but I know
Well,
that
I'll show you.
I know the carpets weren't clean. I know that was one of the things she said.
They were
but
brand new carpets, Your Honor, when she moved
those
in.
carpets were not clean when I gave my friend the key.
Well, then your kids made a mess of the carpets.
I'm sorry.
Well, then you pay for it.
I could have cleaned it. I own a carpet cleaner, but they wouldn't allow it after I...
Show this to the defendant, please. She's
You know,
outrageous.
Your Honor,
You're outrageous.
really, this is a little bit going overboard. My mom would be very outraged that we were in court about this.
That's probably true. Your behavior was outrageous.
And then, Your Honor, I ran out of film, and I couldn't photograph the screens on the windows. They're either missing or split, broken.
Listen to me. She didn't take care of your property. You weren't gone very long. From December 2001 until April, we're only talking about 4 months.
Well,
in 4 months, they made a real mess out of the premises, because I believe that at the time that your mother moved in, you would not have moved your mother into a place that was not immaculate.
Right.
Well, you know, these people, they were only living there a month, Your Honor. That damage was done in a month. They busted the back door. They busted the bathroom door.
No, I see.
Totally
Yeah,
trashed it.
I see. And I see what you're suing for, which is really pretty minimum, $3,900. It cost you more than that to clean up this mess. All right. It's very unfortunate. I'm sure your mother would not like the fact that 2 sisters are in court fighting with each other over this kind of thing. But your actions were absolutely 100% wrong and inappropriate. How much did you pay for this house?
$70,000.
I think you ought to sell it. Probably be a good idea if you sold it.
I agree.
Yeah, you don't want to live too close, because you never know. If you're not there, you're an absentee person. Your sister might get angry with you one day. You never know what's going to happen. In any event, it'll cost you at least $3,900 to put this place back in order. That's what you're suing for, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My mother would be rolling over in her grave right now.
She's not family. She did not do what family does.
I think my sister's making a big deal about it. It's the big baby.
She's a user.
We could have worked this out together, but no.
Personally, I'll never have nothing to do with her.
Don't fight over money. It's not worth it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cox versus Sinius. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Jody Cox is suing her former friend, 19-year-old student Jerry Sinius, for damage to a car that was rented in her name.
Miss Cox, the defendant was a friend of yours, and according to your complaint, you were foolish enough to rent a car for him, your name, using your credit card. Is that right?
Well, the car, it was in his name. I was the second driver. He just needed me as a second driver so he could use the credit card.
So you used your credit card.
Yes.
But the intention was for him to use the car.
Yes, I wasn't going to be there at all. I was just doing him a favor. This way he could take his trip, and he told me he was going to pay for everything in cash.
Where was he going?
Virginia, I believe.
But you weren't going to be on the trip. The car was for him. Is that right, sir?
Correct.
And then the car got smashed up.
Yes.
And they sued you.
No, well, they charged me, and
on
my
the credit
mother paid
card,
it off.
on your credit card.
Yes.
How much did they charge your credit card?
$1,400. I have a statement.
I'd like to see it, please.
I also have the estimate for the damage and a picture of the car.
I just want to see what they charged you.
Okay.
$1,400. When did you take this trip, sir?
On the 12th of April, I believe it was.
And there's no question that the car was damaged while you had it on this trip.
Correct.
Let's hear you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jody Cox says former friend Jerry Sinius wrecked a car rented in her name. Jerry says he wasn't driving when the accident occurred.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we took the trip, right? On
Who's
the way
we?
back, me and my other two friends, Kenneth and Roy. We took the trip.
Which one is this?
This is Kenneth. On the way back, I was a little tired, so I let him drive the car, right? But me and Jody had the understanding that he would be the second driver. So on the way back, we got into an accident.
Just a minute. You had that understanding with her.
Correct.
Is that right?
We had to understand that he would be driving to Virginia, and if he got tired, someone else would drive. Yes.
Which was Kenneth.
Yeah.
All right. Now, on the way back, Kenneth got into a little accident. They hit the side of the car, and then we took it back to the rental place, and they said that I thought at first the insurance would cover it, but it didn't. So.
Why not?
But I don't know the reason.
Do you know the reason?
No, they didn't even tell me this. I didn't even know until I got the credit card statement.
Well, me, Kenneth, and Roy, we came to agreement that the person who was behind the wheel would tell Jody.
Who asked her for the use of her credit card?
I asked her.
He was your friend?
Yes, he was a good friend of mine as well.
What about Kenneth?
He was a friend, but I was good friends with Jerry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we came to that agreement that Kenneth would tell Jody about the accident. Well, he didn't. So she found out through the statement. Well, so I felt, me personally, I felt I wasn't responsible for the accident being the fact that I wasn't behind the wheel. Had I was behind the wheel, I would take full responsible for it. But I wasn't behind the wheel, so I don't feel I was responsible.
I don't think you're a bad person. A little shifty, maybe. But let me just outline what you've testified to. And you tell me, because I really don't think that you're a bad person. Misguided, maybe. So let me outline what we have. She was a good friend of yours.
Correct.
You asked her, you, alone, asked her for a favor.
Correct.
The favor was, can I use your credit card? Some friends of mine and I want to take a trip.
Correct.
And I don't have a credit card to use. Can I use your credit card? She says yes. Rent a car, and you go on the trip.
Correct.
You get tired. Yeah. She didn't get tired.
You're right.
You got tired. You have the following choices when you get tired. You can pull off the road and take a nap. You can say, I've driven enough today. You chose to allow your friend to drive the car. She didn't have your friend drive the car. You chose, you, who had the original agreement with her, let your friend drive the car. He gets into an accident. Were you sleeping at the time?
Yes, I was.
So you don't know about the accident?
No.
You don't know what happened?
Not exactly.
You have no idea what happened. Then, instead of you telling your friend who went out on a limb for you, listen, we had an accident, and let's see what the responsibility is here, you decide to let Kenneth tell her.
But we came to agreement.
Not with her.
With him.
With him?
Yes.
What does that have to do with her?
Nothing.
Right. Nothing. She's the innocent. Little stupid, but innocent. Now, you don't say to Kenneth a few hours later, did you call Miss Cox and tell her about the accident?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say to you?
I asked him, did he call her? He didn't reply.
He didn't reply, and that was good enough for you.
He said he was going to call her.
He said he was going to call her.
Correct.
So then did you say to him the next day, did you call her and let her know about the accident?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
He said, I'm going to call her.
You didn't say to him, let's sit down right now, because this is not right. She did me a favor. The favor was, let me use her credit card.
Correct.
Let's sit down right now and you pick up that phone and call her and tell her that you had an accident. You didn't do that, right? You just figured.
That he would call and tell her.
You believe that Kenneth is responsible?
because he was behind the wheel. And
You believe that Kenneth was responsible
Yes.
and that he should pay for it. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Good. So this is what we're going to do. I'm giving her a judgment for $1,400 against you. If you think Kenneth is responsible, you take out a summons and sue him. Do you understand?
Yes.
That way, she's dealing with the person who she made a contract with. You then are dealing with a person that you feel is responsible. That's your problem. Don't visit it on her. You got it? Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Brown, the defendant is your son.
Right.
Is that right? Are those prescription glasses, sir?
Yes, ma'am, very much so.
Well, would you take them off, please? Because if you have to read anything, I'll let you put them back on. Very good.
They're not for reading, they're for seeing you, Your Honor.
Well, put them back on again for a second, sir. Take a good look. Now take them off. Mrs. Brown, your lawsuit seeks return of money for several things. The first thing is bail money that you claim that you loaned to your son at some point. The second thing is for mortgage payments on a house that you are currently living in. And from what I gather from your complaint, there was some sort of an arrangement that your son would make the mortgage payments on this house. And ultimately, the house would belong to him. You would live in the house, take care of your grandson, your son, correct? And then there was some sort of an altercation with your son. You put him out of the house, and you believe that he should continue to make the mortgage payments on the house as per your agreement.
No.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that.
I am only asking for a mortgage, well, it's not just mortgage, it's household expenses for the month of August, which he lived in my house. That was August of 2001 was the last month that he lived in my house, and he did not pay anything.
Okay, so it's just for 1 month.
It's just for 1 month, and it's $1,500 for the household expenses because that was our agreement.
How much was the mortgage payment?
$758.
Okay. How much was the bail?
The bail was $1,000.
And you have proof of that?
Yes. I have a bank statement here where I took the money out of the bank.
No, I need the bail statement, not where you took the money out.
I could not find it. I looked and looked, and I could not find the bail statement. I don't know if he has it or what.
All right. And the second thing that you want is for verbal abuse, which you don't get paid for, because you're suing him for $4,000. Way over. Okay, and the mortgage payment is $758. Okay, let's get to the bail first. Tell me the circumstances surrounding this bail.
The bail was, he was driving a car that was illegally licensed, and he got pulled over, and they took him to jail. And I can't remember if he had some other...
When was this?
This was in June of 2001.
Does that sound familiar, sir?
It sounds familiar in January, yes.
January of 2001?
No, it wasn't January. It was in the spring. The weather was beautiful.
Oh. Were you taken to jail, sir?
Yep.
Did you have bail?
Yep.
Where'd you get it from?
I have retrieved bail from Michael, a friend of mine. My mom has put up collateral for her house more than once, but just collateral.
No. I paid $1,000 and the collateral for that particular bail. The one he's talking about was for another charge that he was charged with, and his friend Michael did pay that bail for him because I had no more money to pay any more bail.
Why do you think your mother would lie about posting bail for you?
That's going to be the whole case. She's used her collateral more than once. I've asked her
More
to
than
use...
once for your bail?
Yep.
Well,
Yes,
how many
ma'am.
times have you been arrested, sir?
A few.
How many is a few?
A number?
Do you not... Are you telling me you don't remember?
Well, Your Honor, I've absolutely been in trouble. I haven't recently, but yes, I've been in a deal of trouble and asked her for collateral at least 4 times.
Okay, well, this time she says in June of 2001, she also had to post the bail. So if you can't remember how many times you've been arrested, maybe you don't remember who posted the bail all the time.
I remember exactly who posted the bail, Your Honor.
Well, who posted the bail in June?
Michael.
She said that that was in January.
No, he
There
said
was no
that
arrest in June. I was only arrested in January. I went to the court
I
dates.
could
I
be
know what
wrong
the
with
date
the
is.
month. It was in the spring. Those two cases were very close together.
Okay. Tell me, Mrs. Brown, did you get a call from your son from jail?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the phone call. Maybe that will
He
jog his
just
memory.
called and said that he had been arrested and he needed to get bailed out, and could I get the money? And I said, yes. The money that I used was money that was supposed to stay in the bank. That's why I am asking for the money back, because the money was for something else.
What was it for?
It was for, we were going to do some work on the house.
Let me look at your statement. You say that you took out $1,000. so that you would have exactly when you took out the $1,000.
Well, this is showing up on my June, so that's why I said June.
Well, it would tell you the date in June.
6/4, $1,000.
Now, tell me exactly where you took this $1,000. Look at me.
I bailed him from a bondsman in Tacoma. I could not find that bondsman. I looked in the phone book and I made calls and I could not remember the name of that bondsman. I bailed him out. He went to court. And then, of course, you don't get that $1,000 back because that was the 10%.
Let's get to the house payment in August. Did you, in fact, live in the house in August, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Beginning of August until when?
Till, actually, I think it was after, it was more like the 1st or 2nd of September, I think.
And your arrangement with your mother was that you would take care of the household expenses?
The agreement of me buying the home was me buying the home, yes, and everything involved with it.
Did you pay for August?
The money for paying for the August rent was supposed to be paid on that Friday. Something had come up, I didn't get to it. That Friday night is the night that she came home and did her rampage and called the cops and kicked us out. That night, Friday night, assuming that I'd already paid, which I had not gotten a chance to pay yet.
But
so
it's due the beginning of August, not the end.
It gets paid, Your Honor. It gets paid every single month.
So your mother is correct that you did not make the $1,500 payment that you were supposed to make?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Is there any defense to that $1,500, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, she threw me and my son out in the street in the middle of the night.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You must have had some lollapalooza of a fight with your mother.
There was no fight.
You mean your mother went through a psychotic episode?
She does not like my son's mother.
That's not what happened at all.
And later today,
I don't remember. It was such a long time ago.
It's not so long ago in the scheme of things.
You know, I have the emails when I had gotten the order of protection, and...
Let's get to the money!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sandy Brown says her son Henry Brown owes for 1 month of household expenses. Henry says his mom threw him out on the street in the middle of the night.
Go ahead.
I came to give her the money for that mortgage the next week after she had told me I couldn't come around, told me I couldn't have my stuff, told me my son couldn't have his stuff, and I'd come to have a couple cars towed at her request, at which time the police were called by her.
Well, you must have had some lollapalooza of a fight with your mother.
There was no fight. I was at home with my son, with my son's mother, with her daughter, and with my 13-year-old nanny when she came home at 10 o'clock at night and kicked and booted me out.
You mean your mother went through a psychotic episode?
She does not like my son's mother. That's been her issue for about a month before this happened. That was her only issue. We had a fight about her before she left, I think it was on a Wednesday, and she came home Friday evening, and her first words were, she has to leave, she has to go, she has to leave. And I told her, no, it's 10 o'clock at night, and she got on the phone, called the cops, and told the cops I had been abusive and everything else. I'm standing there with cooking utensils, cooking food.
Why did you put your son out, Mrs. Brown?
That's not what happened at all.
Well, what
we
happened?
had been having an argument that whole week.
About what?
I did want him to move out because I didn't appreciate him yelling at me, getting in my face yelling at me. I did not appreciate him saying derogatory remarks about me. This is my home. I've lived here for 28 years, and I didn't feel like I had to put up with it. They had taken it upon themselves to move my furniture around. I did not yell at him. I said, Hank, I said, I don't want callers spending the night here. That's what I told him. And he just started yelling at me. And I said, okay, you need to move out. And he says, I'm not moving. I said, either you move, I'm going to go, or I'm going to call the police. He said, go ahead. So I said, fine. So I did. He had a warrant. He left so he wouldn't get arrested. 2 weeks later.
What did he have a warrant for?
I believe it's non-payment of child support. He has an older daughter. Then on that Monday, which was like the 3rd of September, I went straight to court and filed for a protection order.
Okay.
He came to pick up his cars. I called the police, gave the police a protection order. They served him, and he went to jail on that same arrest warrant 2 weeks later.
Not on anything that had to do with you?
No. Didn't have anything to do with me.
Okay. Did he ultimately get his personal property and his son's personal property from the house?
Well, yes, he did. And by the way, when we went to finalize the protection order, I told him then, I need your stuff out of my house in 2 weeks because I need to have a roommate move in with me because I can't afford this house by myself. He never came. Ultimately, I put his son's bedroom set on the deck. I told my son, tell him to come and get Hanky's bedroom set before it is ruined, because by then it was like the end of October. He never came.
Where was he living?
Around.
With his son?
With his son. He's still living around with his son.
Okay, well, I don't have a counterclaim for that. And in any event, I find that you did, in fact, post his bail, $1,000, and he owes you $1,500, almost acknowledged for August of 2001. So I'm entering a judgment for $2,500. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This woman, out of spite, has put me and my son out of our home that we had a good faith agreement on.
The agreement was if I died, he could inherit the house.
Don't trust nobody.
I guess he thought I was going to die in 2 or 3 years. I don't know.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Poulter versus Miller. Step forward, please.
53-year-old truck driver Craig Poulter is suing his ex-girlfriend, 28-year-old purchasing agent Heidi Miller, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Heidi says Craig bought the car as a gift.
Mr. Poulter, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of $3,000 some odd dollars so that you could purchase a car.
Yes.
The defendant says it was never a loan, never intended to be a loan. What was your relationship to the defendant?
Well, Heidi and I had met in about June of 2000, and shortly thereafter started dating and ended up in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And during the course of that relationship, which lasted about a year and a half, Heidi had mentioned that the vehicle she was driving at the time was being too costly for her to afford. We discussed the situation and came up with an idea that at the right time, when the right car came along, to purchase a different vehicle, and then she would be able to get rid of the one that she really couldn't afford owning.
Was it a leased car that you had?
Yes.
It was a lease?
Yes.
And how much was the lease?
$369 a month.
So does that sound right so far?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, go ahead.
So it was the 25th of June, 2001. And we spotted a nice-looking used car for sale by private owner. We decided to stop and take a look at this vehicle, knowing that she would sooner than later be getting rid of the Blazer. When we came back from the test ride, I told her that if we can make the right deal with the gentleman for the right amount of money, I think it would be a good car for her to have.
Okay.
And at that time, I said, as far as paying me back for the car, we can work that out later. Let's first take care of what's important is to get you a car.
Are you telling me that you had a discussion with her at that point about paying you back the money?
There was some short discussion about it. It wasn't a real long conversation. Like
it might sound right. It sounds right to me that you might say, listen, if we can make a good deal on this car, let's do it. But it doesn't sit right with me that you would say at that moment, and then we'll talk about paying me back, later. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay.
But there was some mention of that getting a payment plan set up down the road or something, but I don't remember exactly
At that moment. I'm talking about at that moment.
Yes.
All right. I'm not sure if I believe that. Go ahead. So what happened? So you went and you made a deal with the man?
Yes.
You did alone?
Yes.
Okay.
And I wrote I wrote a personal check for the car, and I have a copy and
I'd like to see it.
of that signed cash check.
Okay.
Um,
And then she took possession of the car. You registered it in your name?
Yes.
And when did you turn back the leased car?
It was shortly after that because I had to, I took a loss on this Blazer that I had, and so what I had to do is I had to finance $5,000 for the loss on a Blazer that I no longer have, and actually I'm still paying for it. So once I sold that, which was actually probably about a month or two after he had bought the car for me.
Okay.
So
Now, when did you and the defendant end your relationship?
it was towards the end of 2001.
Between June, when you purchased the car, and December, did she make any payments to you?
No.
Did you have any discussions about it?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I have two separate emails from 2 separate days where I had mentioned to her by email about wanting repayment, and her replies are on my emails. Your Honor, my comments are highlighted in blue and hers are in yellow.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Craig Poulter says ex-girlfriend Heidi Miller owes for a loan to buy a car. Heidi says Craig has been harassing her.
Would you show this to the defendant, please?
Okay.
Ms. Miller, those emails, especially yours, don't seem consistent with your defense, which is that this car was a gift.
The reason, if I said those things, because I don't remember, it was such a long time ago.
It's not so long ago in the scheme of things.
But I said this basically said those emails to appease this man. He's very controlling of me. I had to get a restraining order against him after all this whole thing. It was just to get him to back off.
Just a second. These were in September. You didn't break up with him until later on in the year.
Actually, we broke up in September. It was such an on and off relationship.
Well, then it was back on again.
No, it was not.
Well, you want to go on and continue then and tell me about these emails that you sent, which seem to indicate that he was telling you, don't worry about getting a part-time job to start to pay me back. Because you said, I'll get a part-time job and pay you back. He said the most important thing is that you get a good full-time job,
Which
and then you can start paying me back. And you say, I'm really stubborn. I know I want to pay you back, and I'm going to pay you back. You say that on 2 separate occasions.
Just to appease him, because he was harassing me with phone calls and with different emails that I don't keep every single email that is sent to me. I'm sorry that I don't. But if I could, you know, I had the emails when I had gotten the order of protection, and
let's get to the money.
I don't owe him for it. It was a gift. At the time of when we purchased the car, we never talked about anything about that I was going to repay him or anything. He went and took for a test drive. I had nothing to do with the car. He came back to me and said, this is a good car for you.
Okay.
Your Honor, I also have an audio tape recording that I made of a conversation between Ms. Miller and I. We have queued up one of the most important parts of the tape.
I'll hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah? What are we going to do, Heidi? I don't know. I can't believe it. All this time you haven't been able to send any money at all. Exactly. Me either. Things are tight. Okay, plain and simple, Heidi. What is the next step? I don't know.
I asked her point blank on the conversation, and it's in this tape. I said, Heidi, are you trying to say that you don't owe me the money for the car? And she very frankly answers, no, I know I owe you.
No, it's clear to me, sir, that she owes you for the car.
It was just miscued.
It's clear to me that she owes you for the car. She acknowledges on the tape she owes you for the car. She acknowledges in the email she owes you for the car.
Right, and I have my
Only today she says she doesn't owe you for the car. Only today. Now, if you had $369 of car payments for a Blazer that you couldn't afford, and if you gave him $100 a month, which would cut your expenses substantially, then you could pay the car off in 30 months and you wouldn't have a problem. Or if you gave him $50 a month, but you gave him nothing.
Well, I had to pay for that Blazer loan, that $5,000 loss.
Whose fault is that? Is that his fault?
Yes, because he told me that was the best thing for me to do was to get rid of that Blazer.
Hey, listen.
That's what he told me to do.
You look like a very strong, strapping girl, and there is absolutely no reason why you let somebody else make decisions for you. Sounds to me as if you made your own decision to lease a Blazer. You could have leased a car that you could buy or lease for $150.
Case number 78 on the calendar in the matter of Ellsworth versus Neri Sanchez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Ellsworth, this young man used to be your boyfriend, and you are Miss Neri, you are his mother.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you lived for a period of time with your boyfriend and his mother, and you made each of them a series of loans. His mother at some point told you to leave the house. You left. You want your money. Each of the defendants say that they owe you nothing. Money that you gave Miss Neri was for expenses, your expenses while you lived in the house. And her son James says anything that you gave him were gifts because he took care of certain things for you. When did you move in with Miss Neri and her son?
In June of 2004.
And what were you doing at the time?
At the time, I was working for Forever 21.
Now tell me about the first loan you made to Mrs. Neri.
The loan I had made to Mrs. Neri was for $2,000. She said she had needed it for the down payment on the house that we were going to move into. She stated that she had asked her dad to borrow the money, and he had said no, and that I was the last resort, and if I couldn't loan her the money, we would have nowhere to live.
Where had you been living?
I had been living with them in an apartment.
So you all wanted to move someplace else together. Did you sign the lease?
Yes, I did.
On the new place?
On the new place, yes. I was told that I was not going to be a renter on the house, and that the only reason why I needed to sign the paperwork was because I was over 18.
You have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Well, the three of you were clearly on the lease, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, you read this document, didn't you?
I didn't read the whole thing, no.
Why not?
Because she said she needed it signed, and so she stated that.
Miss Ellsworth, you go to school?
Yes.
What school do you go to?
Bakersfield College.
I assume that at least in your spare time when you were younger, you watched a little television?
Yes, I do.
You watched enough courtroom television to know that you're not supposed to sign something that you don't read?
Yes.
So let's not play with each other. So you signed it.
Yes.
And you should have read it. And if you didn't read it, that's not my problem.
Yeah. I did pay rent on the house.
Until you were evicted?
Yes, pretty much.
How much was security and the deposit on this apartment?
I think altogether was like $1,800. I'm not quite sure.
$1,850?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that money from?
From her, because the reason why we had to move from the apartment, because I was at the apartment for over a year already. I came home one day from work, and she was living in my apartment. I told my son, look, this cannot work. You know, I don't want her living here. You know, she has a home. She told me she had nowhere to go because her mom was an abusive mother. So, you know, I kind of felt sorry for her. So the next thing I knew, her dog Louie, she has a little dog Louie, he was tearing up the curtains and everything. So I'm a single mommy. I couldn't just come up with that money just to move. So, you know, I had no choice. I asked my dad, and my dad goes, well, it's your fault. You should have never let her move in. You know, why you have to move. Because the reason why we had to move, because she wasn't on the lease. It was breach of contract, they said.
I can understand if you're moving in together, she's on the lease, she should pay a third of $1,850.
Okay, we moved in that home after we got kicked out of the apartment.
Listen to me. You don't have to get kicked out of the apartment. All you have to do is put the two of them out. And you can stay.
Right.
Well, he's not going anywhere without her. You could stay. Put them out.
No, she said we had to move.
Listen to me. $1,850. Only a third of that. She's on the lease. Only a third of that is hers.
Right.
Why did you throw her out?
I didn't throw her out. She was there. Her and my son were always arguing. It got to the point where I'd come out of work and I didn't want to go home anymore. She was possessive with my son, very possessive with my son.
Did you tell her to leave?
I did not tell her she had to leave. She got upset because I came home one day, the place was dirty. I figured if I'm working, in their home, they should at least have the place clean. We got in an argument. My son heard me say, me and my son arguing. She got up and she left. I didn't verbally say, oh, Aubrey, you have to leave.
She had told me all the time that I had brought sin into her house and that I was bringing chaos and that she didn't want me living there. Her son told me numerous times, I don't have to leave, it's you that has to leave. My mom doesn't want you living here. She threatened to kick him out all the time. She threatened to kick me out all the time just to have, in my opinion, a control.
What?
First of all, my mom never kicked her out. Me and Aubrey used to argue a lot. Yeah, we did.
So it's a good thing she left, right?
No, I don't know if it's a good thing.
Listen to what I said. Stop thinking about what you're going to say next and start listening to my question. So it's a good thing that she left.
Yes.
For the sake
Stop.
of argument,
I'm speaking to you.
Hey.
Yeah, give him a good one. Okay. So it's a good thing that she left.
Yes, but she wasn't told to leave.
No, it came to her by mental telepathy, like Karnak, you know. You wanted her to leave, and your mother wanted her to leave.
Honestly, no, I didn't want her to leave. Honestly,
I didn't. He was upset and crying. I didn't ask her to leave because she was still on the lease. It was up to, like, I think March. She left on her own. She came out storming, and she left on her own. That's the honest.
All right, you got $1,850, Miss Ellsworth. That she has to give you back. I don't believe. How old are you?
In my 30s, late 30s.
30, in my 30s, late 30s.
Yeah.
What kind of an answer is that? How old are you?
39.
She's 18. You're 21 years her senior. She doesn't support you. You take care of her. All right. Don't go into little things with me. I'm not interested in little things. What does he owe you for?
He owes me for his truck. I helped him fix his truck. I got him a new tire, which was $76. And then I had helped him fix his truck because he had gotten rear-ended February of 2004. He could not...
February of 2004?
Yes.
Where were you for the last year?
I've been trying to collect it. We didn't get the truck, though, starting to fix until September.
Does that make sense to you?
She didn't give me all the money.
What did she give you?
I paid her half of the money back.
What did she give you is my question.
All she gave me was $150 because I paid $150 of it back to her, so it totaled out to $300, and with my $150 coming back to her, it canceled out. And then I went and paid a couple months of rent for her that she didn't pick up on. And this whole thing, we both assumed that we were just going to break it off even like that. Because, like, I mean, we were living together, and it's like, then when we break up, she goes, oh, well, now you owe me for this and you owe me for that.
Do you want to know something, Mr. Sanchez?
Yeah.
I agree with you. How's that?
I mean, like,
agree with you.
I honestly believe if we were still together...
Just a second. Give it to him good.
I honestly...
Give it to him good. Miss
I honestly...
Miss Neary. Good. Give it to him good. Because he doesn't get it. I just said I agree with you.
Okay.
Stop. No more. Listen to your mother.
Can I just add one last thing, then?
Why do you want to add something? I just said I agree with you. You want to tell her you love her? You want to get married? You want to propose to her here?
No, I already have
Then just
another
listen to your mother.
girlfriend.
Your mother's telling you to shut up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It wasn't my truck.
Listen, Miss
You didn't
Ellsworth.
have a car for a while, and I was
Mr.
driving
Sanchez,
you working
you
back.
want your mother to slap you upside the head?
And later today,
She was stealing from the casino.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, madam.
Well, this gentleman here did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Aubrey Ellsworth says both her ex-boyfriend and his mother owe her money. James Sanchez and Joanne Neri claim Aubrey is controlling and possessive.
When you're in a relationship and you have $100 here and $76 there and $40 there and $50 there, courts don't want to get involved with that if the relationship doesn't work out.
It wasn't my truck.
I don't care whose truck it was. It wasn't my truck.
You drove it.
It was a truck that
Like
you
it was
at least
yours?
rode in. That's what you do when people live together.
Not when it gets impounded. He got it impounded.
Listen,
What about
Miss
when
Ellsworth.
You didn't have a car for a while, and I was
Mr.
driving
Sanchez,
you working
you
back.
want your mother to slap you upside the head?
No.
She's going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
Next time he opens his mouth, Miss Neary, give it to him good. You don't have a lawsuit against Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez and you live together in a monogamous, physical relationship, and I'm certain that during the time that you lived together, you went out to eat, he paid, sometimes you paid, other times you went to a movie, you went to a fair, you went out, he bought you a Frankfurter, he bought you a cup of coffee, you bought him,
I wish
whatever
it were
it
like
is.
that.
Whatever
It's
it
hard
is.
to be like that if you're as jealous as you are. If you weren't so jealous, it could have been better.
No.
I have
Harder!
I have a restraining order on him.
Harder! Judgment for the
Aubrey,
plaintiff,
there's
that
a
is
court-
Miss Neary, in the amount of $1,850. Your lawsuit with regard to Mr. Sanchez is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused and they step out.
He became violent with me, and he started stalking me, following me, going to my job.
As far as harassing and stalking, she was the one writing me letters all day in class and following me and my new girlfriend outside of school.
He wanted to marry me. He wanted to be with me. It became an obsession that became violent and physical.
She socked me a couple times where I had to call the cops on her and almost have her put in jail.
It got to the point to where my work was saying, I'll put the restraining order on him for you if you don't.
She's mad because I don't want to get back with her and I found a better girl.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Richter versus Falk. Step forward, please.
20-year-old physical therapy technician Levita Richter is suing her former friend, 21-year-old caregiver Adriana Falk, for bail money, a loan to get her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Miss Richter, you and the defendant had been friends, according to the complaint that I read.
Yes, sir.
And there was a point when she was in some difficulty. Did she come to live with you at that point?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
When was that?
About October?
October of 2004?
Yes.
Who were you living with?
My fiance?
Who's now your husband?
Yes.
Is that him?
No.
Who was this?
This is my witness.
According to you, there are 2 loans outstanding. And in addition to the 2 loans, you claim that Miss Falk owes you for this bridesmaid's dress. I assume that this is the bridesmaid's dress. She was an attendant at your wedding. They were supposed to pay for their own dresses. You claim she did not pay for hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Falk says that both of those times when you gave her the money, it was a gift. And the bridesmaid's dress, she says she paid for, even though you still have it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go to live with Miss Richter and her fiancé, Miss Falk?
I was having some problems with my mother and needed to get out of the situation that I was in.
And when was the first time that she gave you money?
When this guy right over here got me into trouble at my employment, I was taken to jail because of him and his roommates and what they had asked me to do for them. And
well, why don't you explain that to me further?
Okay, I was working at Colusa Casino in Colusa County. And
Where is that?
Part of Northern California.
Go ahead.
Me and Mr. Weiser had started dating, and him and his roommates knew obviously that I worked at a casino and asked me if I could possibly give them players cards with instant rewards on them, which is like a credit, and they can go in the casino and play. Well, I told them a number of times I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Now I'm being charged for all 4 of those gentlemen and what they asked me to do.
Just a second. So they asked you to get them these cards, and you said no. So how could you be charged with anything?
Because I did it anyways.
Oh, so you did it. You did something illegal.
Yes, ma'am.
Levita Richter says former friend Adriana Falk owes for bail money, a loan to have her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Explain to me how you did something illegal.
I would go in and add the instant rewards to their cards. That gentleman right there would come in and play his, not only, and all 4 of his.
I don't
roommates'
understand the
cards.
instant rewards. What does that mean?
It's just like a credit you can go in and play on slot machines. You can't cash it out. The only thing you cash out is what you win, but you cannot cash out anything on that card.
But you can play with it.
Yeah.
And you knew you were doing, in effect, you were stealing from the casino.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, madam. That's
Well,
not
this
anybody.
gentleman here did.
No, he didn't. No, Miss Falk. That's not true. If I asked Bird to falsify a document for me, and I've known him for a very long time, 25 years?
At least.
At least. I guarantee you he would not do it for me. And he likes me. And if I asked somebody that I cared about to do something illegal, I would not be angry if they said, no, that's illegal.
Well, they were when I said no.
So then what you say to somebody who's asking you to do something wrong is, I'm sorry, you can be angry, and if you want to not see me anymore, you don't see me anymore. If you want to not be my friend, you don't want to be my boyfriend, whatever it is. But you don't blame somebody else for you're doing something criminal.
There are charges pending on them, but I don't know what they are yet.
Are there charges pending against you?
Yes, there is.
For what?
For second-degree burglary, and it's burglary in the second degree, and then the grand theft as well.
Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you any questions about that because those matters are pending. I'm sorry. You represented by an attorney with regard to that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stupid. Anyway, you got into trouble and she bailed you out?
Yeah. He was on his way home and he called her and asked her to bail me out of jail.
Who asked her?
I had called Mr. Weiser and told him that I was in jail because he knew that I was going to meet with the security officers at the casino that morning. Then I ended up being arrested after about an hour or 2 of questioning. I was taken into custody and arrested. And I called him. He was the first person that I was able to call. And he called her and asked her to bail me out.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Who called?
The bail bond gentleman called me at work.
Oh, but she didn't call you.
I spoke to her, and she asked me to come bail her out.
When? You said the bail bondsman called.
I talked to her after the bail bonds gentleman called, and I was allowed to talk to her. And she was crying. She said, please come get me out of this place.
You went there and you bailed her out?
Yes.
What arrangements did you make for her to pay you back?
She was to pay me back. She had promised me that she would pay me back because that's just, I wasn't just going to give it to her. I was getting married in a few months and I didn't have that money to spare.
Well, I want to know what conversation did you have with her with regard to paying you back?
She just
Don't tell me what she understood.
She
Ms.
just
Richter.
said, you know, I promise that I'll pay you back. I thank you for bailing me out.
When did she say that to you?
In front of the bail bond gentleman, when we were signing these papers.
Let me see the papers. Okay, what was the next amount of money?
It was the $500 that I loaned her to have her car fixed.
Okay, let me hear.
She was driving a Geo Metro. It was needed some repairs. It was $1,000 to have it fixed. Matt was my witness. He was going to pay half, and I was going to pay the other half. I wrote him a check. He deposited it into his bank account, and he
well, just a second. Why were you going to pay half? I don't hear what.
She didn't have the money to pay it, and it needed to be fixed, or else she wouldn't be able to drive back and forth to work.
Well, when did you have that discussion with her, Miss Richter?
It was
on the phone while I was at Winco.
It was not on the phone. She was in my...
Just a minute. Where was it?
I was at Winco with Mr. Weiser at the time, and she called me and told me that her and her husband now were going to loan me the $500.
No, just a second. She said she and her husband were going to loan you the $500. Perfect. And she did. So why don't you have to pay her back?
She had me arrested.
What did she have you arrested for?
Charges on credit card fraud.
And that's another thing that's pending against you? I don't want to hear about it. So she's alleging that you took money from her credit cards. And she called and had you arrested. Sounds right to me. $815 so far. Now let's hear about the bridesmaid's dress.
Bridesmaid's dress, I was get married March. She was my maid of honor. I have a list of the other two ladies that were my bridesmaids. They knew they were all to pay for the dress. If they did not pay for the dress, they were to not be in the wedding. Being she was my supposed best friend living with me, I assumed that she would pay me back for it.
Don't assume anything.
That's my fault.
That's your fault is right. It's a very nice dress. I hope you can wear it. You don't assume anything. After she didn't have $315, which she didn't give you back for the bail bondsman, and $500 she didn't have for her car, really $1,000 she didn't have for her car, how you could legitimately expect her to pay for a dress, expect her to pay for a dress, is something I quite frankly don't understand. So it looks like a very nice dress. It's yours. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $815. Thanks. That's all.
Harris, Washington versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
How old are you?
17.
What's your first name?
Jordan.
Jordan, you're a very tall boy.
Yes.
Woo! 17 years old. How tall are you?
6'6".
Life's not fair. All I wanted to be was 5'4".
All I want to do is be rich.
You made it.
Yeah.
Jordan, you play baseball?
Basketball.
Basketball. And this was your coach?
Yes.
Not your coach anymore?
Yes.
And you and your mother are suing him over an iPod?
Correct.
An iPod that Mr. Johnson said he did in fact sell. He's not even sure it belonged to you, but he has some story to tell me that he thinks justifies taking your iPod and selling it, and then he has a counterclaim for certain money that he says he extended to you, Jordan, and some harassment nonsense. So, Mr. Johnson, why don't you tell me about the iPod?
I know very little about the iPod until the incident happened.
Well, you were traveling, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you traveling?
It was in July of 2009.
And you were traveling with the team?
Yes, ma'am.
Jordan was a member of the team?
At that time, yes, ma'am.
You were traveling by bus?
We rented a 12-passenger van.
Is he the tallest one on the team?
At that time, yes, he was.
Where'd you get the iPod from, Jordan?
I bought it from a friend.
What friend?
Caleb.
When did you buy it from Caleb?
Say about March of 09.
How much did you pay him for it?
$300.
Back in March of 09. What were they selling them for in the store?
$400. $450.
Why wouldn't you buy one from the store?
Because my friend was selling it for cheaper.
Where did he get it from?
He got it from the store.
Okay. So tell me, now you're traveling by bus, Mr. Johnson, and what happened?
Well, to make the story right, my witness here can testify as to when the iPod first came in question.
Okay. Who are you?
Tammy Williams.
How do you know these people?
I'm his wife, and I'm the team manager, team mom. I take care of all the tournaments, make all the reservations.
Tell me what you know about this iPod.
I do know that we had got to our destination.
Which was where?
Las Vegas, Nevada. And Jordan approached me and told me that his iPod was missing. I told him, did you check your bag good enough? And Jordan said he did and he couldn't find it. Told him, go check the van. He said, well, maybe someone took it. And I told him, no one took it. So let everyone get their stuff out the van first. Go back and search the van. It's probably in the van. After that, I didn't hear anything about it until a couple days later. That time I had assumed that Jordan had found it because he never mentioned it anymore.
Okay. Then you can pick it up, Mr. Johnson.
Well, I was made aware of an incident concerning a player having money stolen from him. And so we decided to have a team meeting to try to get to the bottom of what was going on. And during that meeting, it was discovered, which he later admitted to, that Jordan was the perpetrator of stealing the $20 from the
Well, tell
other
me
teammate.
what Jordan said to you at that meeting.
At the initial meeting, when we had everybody, we called it kind of holding court. And so when I confronted Jordan, it was laughed off at like it was a prank. So at that time, I was like, man, give him his money back and be done with it. And that was the last I heard
Jordan,
at that time.
is that correct?
That's incorrect.
Tell me about the $20.
Okay.
Don't look up there. Up there's not going to help you.
Okay. After my iPod was missing for about 2 days, I was upset, and I seen a wallet on the bed, and I looked in it, and there's some money in there. I was upset about the iPod, so I just took them. I took $20 out of the iPod. I mean, out of the wallet.
Out of one of your teammates' wallets.
Yes, it was just sitting there.
I don't care if it was sitting there or doing a jig. You stole $20 out of his wallet.
Okay.
So, Mr. Johnson, you gave the player the $20?
Actually, my wife gave the player
the $20.
He had been given the opportunity to return that money earlier in the day, and he never would do that. He told me he had left the money in his bag in the room, and I told him I would be going in his bag to retrieve the money to give it back to the player. When I got to the room, there was no money in the bag. So I had to wait till for Jordan to come back from sightseeing to once again have the team meeting again and confront him about the $20.
And what happens at that meeting?
This is when his whole attitude really flipped on me. He, matter of fact, told me that he had no intentions of returning the money, and I was kind of thrown aback, and I asked him, well, why? What's going on? Why would you take your teammates' money? And he said, well, somebody stole my iPod. And I said, Jordan, nobody stole your iPod. I said, I got 12 teenagers pretty much living out of a 12-passenger van. The van is a mess. Did you go down there and search it? He said, no. I said, I'll tell you what, I am going to sleep. I'm tired. I've been coaching all day. I've been driving most of the time. I'm tired. You have till I wake up the next morning to go clean the van out to go get your iPod. If I get down there the next morning and I find that iPod, it belongs to me now because I had to pay the kid the $20 to keep the piece, and I basically told him he sold his iPod for $20.
So you said, I returned the $20 that you stole to the young man. If I go down and find your iPod, the iPod belongs to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went down, and lo and behold, what'd you find in the van?
First thing, when I opened the door, I looked under the seat where he was sitting, and there's a beautiful iPod sitting right under the seat where he was sitting at.
So what'd you do with it?
I walked up to the room, pretty upset still. I'm a coach. I get kind of animated. And I told him, I said, look, you got to the next morning when we get back home in Bakersfield. Bring me my $20. Other iPod is mine, and I'll do with it whatever I want to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money?
No.
Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
17-year-old Jordan Washington says his former basketball coach, Devin Johnson, stole his iPod. Devin says he was trying to teach Jordan a lesson, and he is countersuing for an unpaid loan.
Now, Jordan, why didn't you return the $20 to the coach? I believe what he says, that he said to you, I have your iPod. When we get back to Bakersfield, give me the $20 back, because nobody stole your iPod. You just dropped it on the floor. Just give me back the $20, and I'll give you the iPod. Otherwise, I'm going to sell the iPod or do whatever I want to do with it, and I'll pay myself back. Why didn't you just give him back the $20?
I didn't have the $20 at the time.
What'd you do with it?
I already spent it.
On what?
Vegas. It was Vegas. Spent it.
May I say something, Your Honor? And actually, mind you, when he left to leave with us to Vegas, he didn't have his tournament money, and he had no money in his pocket. My wife felt sorry for him and was giving him spending money during that time just to put something in his pocket. So he didn't even have to steal from the boy. It might not have been a lot of money, but it was $10 here, $10 there. And that
Jordan,
he didn't appreciate that.
Did the Johnsons give you any money when you were traveling?
They gave me approximately $10. They gave me $10 to eat, okay?
Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Actually, Your Honor, I was purchasing him food, as other boys. He wasn't the only one. Some of them had more money than others. When they wanted to go sightsee, I gave him money. I gave that day, over the time, I gave over a couple $100. I'm giving 10 here, 15 here, and buying their meals.
You have some source of revenue from this team?
No.
No, actually, Your Honor, it's just a neighborhood traveling team. I just started to try to help at-risk kids in our community.
How is it funded?
By car washes, and then whatever we don't make up on car wash, we've split amongst the kids, and they have to come up with $20, $25, whatever to travel.
Well, how do you get the van? The van is more than $20, $25.
Through car washes, we kick in some money. You know, we just do what's necessary. Actually, Your Honor, I have a little article and some stuff that has, to show that we've been doing it for 8 years now. We're very serious about trying to make a difference.
How long were you on the team, Jordan?
I say about 3 months.
How long were the other kids on the team?
Since they were young, childhood.
What?
When Jordan told me what had happened, Jordan, I, and a friend had met with Mr. Johnson at the park. We waited till he finished Little League football he was coaching, and I talked to him about the iPod. He told me what had happened, and he never once brought up that Jordan owed him any money. I asked him for the iPod back. He said that he had sold it. I said, well, you're either going to have to give him the iPod back or the money. And he just basically said, take him to court. And he went on and on about street justice, and I'm from the hood, and this is how we deal with that. And I said, I don't care where you're from. Legally, you're not supposed to hold somebody's property in payment of anything.
You're right.
Excuse me.
Now, just a second. You're right. But what I want to know, Ms. Harris, is what did you do and say to your son with regard to stealing this boy's money because he was angry?
I told Jordan he was wrong and he was going to have to accept responsibility.
Did he give the money back?
And no money was ever mentioned to me.
Listen to me. You didn't hear my question, Miss Harris.
Did he give the money back?
Did he give the money back to the boy who he stole it from?
No, he didn't.
Well, you come back to me, Miss Harris, when your son gives back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. You come back to me and ask for some justice from the court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You can't come into a court and say, I stole, but there are no consequences. And somebody who, in effect, took the law into his own hands and decided what an appropriate response would be in his capacity as coach, I think it was wrong. Put your hand down, sir. I think it was wrong. But he doesn't have clean hands. He sort of thinks it was okay because he thought somebody stole his iPod. It was okay for him to steal out of somebody's wallet. Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money?
No.
Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
He basically was trying to get the iPod back.
No. That had nothing to do with it. You're making excuses for him, Miss Harris. That's an excuse. He just said to me he was mad because he thought somebody stole his iPod, so he was going to steal somebody's money.
Yes.
There were 12 people. I mean, more likely than not, he lost it rather than somebody stealing it. As it happened, that's what happened. He lost it. He found it, but he didn't even bother to look for it. It wasn't right under his nose, so he assumed somebody stole it. But that doesn't give him the right to go and steal somebody's money. So you come to me after your son pays back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. Then I'm going to entertain his case for the return of his iPod. You understand each other, Jordan?
Yes.
Perfect. How long ago did you steal this money?
It was during the trip, July 7th.
You've had almost a year to return the money.
The boy and I made arrangements.
To what?
To where I would have to, like, help him with his homework. I go to the same high school as he do.
And?
He struggles in a subject, and I help him, and the debt is already paid off. Instead of paying him $20, I helped him on his homework.
Why didn't you pay him back his $20 and help him with his homework anyway?
Your Honor, I find it real funny that he says he helped this man with his homework. Jordan has been in 5 schools in the last 4 years because of academic and failing grades. Caleb is a top-notch student. There's no way this young man is going to help that kid with his homework. He's 50 credits behind in school. I tried to help him out with coaching my football team to earn 10 more credits. He didn't complete that.
Does that sound right, Mr. Washington?
That's not true.
What subjects were you helping Caleb in?
Algebra, math.
Algebra is math.
Yes.
Come to me with proof, sir, that you, in fact, paid back the $20, and I'll hear your claim with regard to the return of your iPod. It is your claim that you advanced some money to Jordan.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't create a debt with a minor.
I understand that, Your Honor, but...
Unless his mother agreed to repay you.
Can I tell you how that came about?
Absolutely.
During that time, Caleb was living with his father. I had never met the mother until after this incident, okay? When I brought Jordan home, I presented the iPod to his dad. It was not received because there was a question to where he got the iPod from.
What do you mean it wasn't received?
Well, when I tried to give the iPod to his father said, I don't want it because I don't know where my son got it from, and through his investigation, he couldn't find out where he got it from. So he would not take the iPod back. So that's when I decided I had to go ahead and sell it because it was a question. When can I bring my counterclaim up?
I asked you about it, but you were hell-bent on telling me this story, which isn't, as it happened, an interesting story.
Now, when I'm suing for the counterclaim, he didn't have his tournament money. It was agreed upon with I sued his parents that when we returned.
With whom?
Well, at the time it was his father, but I didn't know his mother was involved in his life at the time. So I didn't know, if it was either one. They both, whoever has supposed to have custody of him now. But on top of
tournament
that,
money, sir, is not a necessary. It's not food, clothing, or shelter. So you can't hold Miss Harris responsible.
he needed food and shelter while he was in Vegas.
But you didn't make an agreement with her
Okay.
to take him on a tournament. You made an agreement
That's
with
fine.
his father.
I concede that, no problem. Now, I have another question now that I'm going for harassment, because him, his mother, and the boyfriend approached my practice, disrupted my practice, and were claiming about the iPod, and then totally...
You better stop doing that, Miss Harris. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your son is a thief. He stole money. That's what you should be concerned about. I don't know if he stole the iPod. I believe the story Mr. Johnson tells me that his father says, I'm not touching this iPod because I don't know where he got it from. Because certainly I didn't give him $300 for an iPod. And I assume that at the time he was living with his father. Is that right?
No, he was there on summer vacation with his father.
I assume he was living with his father at the time.
Yes.
That's living with. Summer. Do you mean June, July, and August?
Yes.
Okay. So he was living with his father and he wasn't sure. Did you give him $300 for an iPod?
No.
Was he working?
Yes.
Where?
Paper route.
When?
He's been doing the paper route since '07.
And so the money he got from the paper route he used to buy the iPod, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Did you tell that to your father?
No, my father know nothing about that iPod.
He says he went to return it.
Until that's the only time he knew about an iPod, me having an iPod.
Huh.
Your Honor, when his father called me, and told me about the incident in Vegas, he never mentioned to me about an iPod or about Coach D having his iPod. Him and Coach D are friends. They've known each other for years, and he basically didn't want to get involved because Jordan is his son and the coach is his friend.
Miss Harris, who started this problem?
Jordan, by stealing.
Right. I'm not excusing Mr. Johnson. I think that he did the wrong thing by selling the iPod, if he sold it. But your emphasis should not be on Mr. Johnson. Your emphasis should be on your son's conduct.
Yes, ma'am. He's basically a good kid, and this never happened before.
Fine. If he's basically a good kid and this never happened before, fine. But don't make excuses. And the fact that it sounds to me like Mr. Johnson donates a lot of time to the community to try to do good things. Right?
Yes, but it was wrong what he did.
Yes, it was wrong what he did. He didn't steal. He exercised bad judgment with regard to teaching your son a lesson.
Yes.
That's different from stealing. That's different from a conscious act of trying to deprive someone else of their property knowing it's the wrong thing to do. And that's where your emphasis should be. And I suggest you and your son and your boyfriend stay away from Mr. Johnson. And if you want to see me again, you'll come back to see me again, having established to my satisfaction that your son's debt is paid. Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I say
That's
one more
all.
thing?
Judge has been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
What's your daughter's name, the one who's in the car with the defendant's stepdaughter?
My daughter's name is Vanessa.
Vanessa, could you step up with your mother? Where's your stepdaughter, sir?
Here.
Step up here. What's your first name?
Michelle.
You want Mr. Overton to be responsible for your car that your daughter was using. I assume because she's a minor, it's registered in your name? Because the defendant's stepdaughter was driving the car. You say she exercised undue influence over your daughter. She's older. To force her to let her drive the car. The car was totaled. Mr. Overton's stepdaughter tells a very different version of the events. Neither one of the two adults were present during the course of these events. So I'm going to find out from the girls what happened, because you want Mr. Overton to be responsible for the following: the $250 insurance deductible on the car, a towing fee of a couple of $100, and also $1,000 in equity that you or your daughter had in the car so that you could go out and buy another one, right?
Yes. And in addition, my insurance also covered for over $1,000 of medical expenses for Michelle.
She was injured?
Yes, some wrist injury.
So she was injured? But
Yes.
your insurance covered that?
Yes, my insurance covered everything.
Okay. Well, what you have so far is $450 worth of expense. So you want to tell me why you think they should pay you $1,450?
Okay. I think it's important for my daughter to tell what happened on the day of the accident.
Okay, fine. On what date was this incident?
November 26th.
And who was in the car?
Me and Michelle.
I was in the car with Michelle, or Michelle and I were in the car?
Michelle and I, yes.
How old are you?
I'm 16.
How long has your mother let you drive this car?
She had been letting me drive it for about 2 months.
And tell me how it came about that Michelle was driving the car. Look at me when you tell this story.
Okay, from the start, me and Michelle, she asked me to take her for a drive. So we left South Eugene High School, and I told her no when she asked to drive my car.
No, she asked you to take a drive.
Yes.
Where
But
did
she
she ask
also
you to
asked you
go? Don't speak to your daughter. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you may believe her, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't believe her. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to believe everything that she tells me, because if it doesn't make sense, I don't believe it. You're her mother, you want to believe her. Go ahead.
Okay, so we left.
You're in school. You're in class.
I didn't have class that period.
Where did you meet Michelle?
I saw her in the hallways.
And said hello?
Yes.
She said hello?
Yes.
What was the next thing that was said?
To tell you the truth, I don't remember.
Good. How did you get into the car?
I remember her asking to drive, and I told her no.
Where were you when she asked you to drive?
She asked me repeatedly to drive my car.
I don't care. You're not answering my question, madam. You're in school, and somehow you got to the car. I'm not interested in where you want to go with my questions. I'm interested in where I want to go with my questions. Do you understand?
I understand.
So, you're in school. How did you get to the car?
We walked to the car.
Why?
Because we went for a drive.
Now, when you say we went for a drive, you were driving.
I was driving.
Good. Where were you going?
We were just driving.
So you were taking a ride?
Yes.
Had you ever driven in the car with her before?
Yes, I have.
Had she ever asked you to drive your car before?
Yes, I have.
Shh.
I mean,
Yes, she
has.
And did you ever let her drive your car before?
No, I did not.
Did it make you uncomfortable when she asked you to drive the car?
No, it did not, but I did not want her to drive my car.
You answer my questions. Prior to November 26th, she had been in your car and she had asked you to drive the car before.
Yes.
Often?
Yes.
And did it make you uncomfortable when she asked you to drive the car?
Yes, because she...
Then why did you let her get into the car on November 26th?
Because we were friends.
Don't put your hand up.
Okay.
Do you understand where I'm going?
Yes, ma'am.
Where I'm going is, if somebody asks you to do the wrong thing, which is, I want to drive your car, and you're not supposed to let anybody else drive your car, then you don't put yourself into that position by letting them get into your car so that they can ask, can I drive it again? Can I drive it again? Can I drive it again? Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good.
You're right.
Right. So there we have fault, blame.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Make sure that you don't give me any of this baloney story about her fainting. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand, Mr. Overton?
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of what?
Oh.
Right!
And later today,
Let's not be foolish here, because I'm not stupid, and I wouldn't expect you to think that I think that you're stupid. So giving you ownership of the car would make him an idiot. You're not an idiot, are you?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
16-year-old Vanessa Shoemate says former friend 17-year-old Michelle Negron totaled her car. Michelle says she had Vanessa's permission to drive.
So now you're in the car, and she asks you again, can I drive the car?
Yes.
And you said?
I said no.
So what happened?
I pulled over on the side of the street after we were driving for a bit, and I told her she could drive because she had asked me repeated times while we were driving on that trip.
So finally you gave her permission to drive the car.
I did.
And she crashed it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Your version.
We were leaving...
Make sure that you don't give me any of this baloney story about her fainting that you put in here, okay? I don't want to hear any baloney story about her fainting and she asked you to drive the car for 3 blocks. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
We were leaving school. We were actually going to get something to eat. And we got to the store. She went in and got something to eat. She came back out. And I did ask her to drive. She said no. And then I asked her again, and then she said yes.
Fine. You see how simple it was when we got rid of that fainting baloney that you told your stepfather? Do you understand, Mr. Overton? Okay? Because I know you wrote in your answer that she was going to faint, and my daughter didn't want her to faint, so she said she would drive. Do you understand? That was a lot of what?
Bull.
Right! Correct. So, your daughter insisted, didn't insist, asked once, asked twice. That doesn't mean she's supposed to say yes. That means that they're both responsible for what happened. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Overton?
Yes, it would.
Good. So, you feel that you should be responsible for half of those expenses?
Yes, ma'am.
So?
Your Honor, I would like to ask our witness, Stephanie, to come forward because she has a pretty important piece of information.
Sure. Stephanie, step up. Stephanie, what do you want to tell me?
Just about an incident prior to the accident.
Go ahead.
Vanessa, Shelley, and I were on our free period, and we were going to go get food. So we go to Vanessa's car, and Vanessa forgot something in her locker. So she went back to go get it, and Shelley asked before she left, "Can I drive your car?" And Vanessa said no. But then Shelley gets into the driver's seat, and Shelley turned on the car, and I asked her, "Do you have your license?" And she said yes. And
Your Honor, that's not true.
Go ahead.
She backed up the car, drove forward a little bit, right in front of Vanessa when she was coming back from her locker.
So, I mean, what are you trying to tell me? I don't understand. This is a whole big story that I don't understand. What are you trying to tell me?
That she drove her car prior to the incident before the accident. Like, she had asked to drive her car and had been nagging on her. And
That's what you want to tell me. She asked and she nagged. Listen to me. Where do you live?
Eugene.
Okay. Are there any bridges in Eugene, Oregon?
Maybe one.
Is there a bridge there?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Shelley says to Vanessa, "I want you to stand on top of the bridge and I want you to see if you can dive down, right? I want you to see if you can dive down and come up." "Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. But I want you to see. I want to just see if you can float, if you can dive down here and you can float." "I don't want to do that." "Oh, please, won't you do that?" "Okay. You don't do something you're not supposed to do because you nag. You say it's because she's older?"
No, her statement was that my daughter had gone to her locker and said, "Don't drive my car." Michelle got into the driver's seat when my daughter wasn't present and drove her car.
Is that when there was an accident?
No.
No,
but
of
it
course not.
indicated that Michelle was willing to do something that wasn't right when she knew she didn't have a license, when she had been asked to not
Your
drive.
daughter did the wrong thing.
I know that, Your Honor. And your
Fine.
daughter
So
has
what
been
I'm
given
saying
consequences.
so what I'm saying to you is, she gave her permission to drive the car. It would be no different from your daughter giving a 6-year-old permission to get behind the wheel of your car. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
It's no different from giving another minor. She stands in your place when she's driving your car. You are the car owner. You are the owner of that weapon.
Right, so
A weapon is an automobile in the hands of someone who is inappropriately skilled to drive it. You have the choice. You have given that weapon to your 16-year-old daughter, and you are responsible for the misjudgments of your 16-year-old daughter. So if you can't rely on your daughter not to exercise perfect judgment, you have to accept the consequences. Because but for your actions, Mr. Overton wouldn't be here. You got to follow that logic. That has to be crystal clear to you. Mrs. Shumate, you exercise judgment by giving your daughter permission to have that car. And but for that fact, we all wouldn't be here today. And she wouldn't have gotten injured. He could turn around and sue you for the injuries that his daughter sustained because you exercised bad judgment in giving your daughter permission to have a car when she didn't know how to say no. So you should be grateful that I find that he, because I'm hoping that he will force her to do the right thing, is responsible for half of the $450. Not the $1,000 that you want in addition to that, but half of the $450 that you had in out-of-pocket expenses. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $225. That's it. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was told that my daughter had been in an accident.
My daughter made a mistake, and we've put a lot of consequences into place because of that.
I was a little upset and worried about her.
I've learned a lot from this. I was not like hounding her for the keys at all. I tried to talk to Shelly, but she seemed very like she didn't even realize that what she did. We're not friends anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martins versus Seitz. Step forward, please.
24-year-old engineer Jeremy Martins is suing his ex-fiancée, 23-year-old orthodontic assistant Keely Seitz, for the cost of a car lease. Keely is countersuing for the money she put into the vehicle.
Mr. Martins, according to what I've read, you and the defendant were either engaged to be married or boyfriend and girlfriend back in the year 2000.
Yes.
Were you engaged?
For a short amount of time, we were engaged.
And during that brief period of time, you decided to lease a car for her, and she didn't have sufficient credit, so the lease was in your name.
That's correct.
But it was clear the arrangement was that this was her car, and she would be making the payments on the lease. Is that right, Ms. Seitz?
Your Honor, we did lease the car together, and he told me on several occasions that I had terrible credit, but to come to find out that I have not.
Don't get into your spin yet. Let's just stay with the facts, the basic facts. The car was leased in his name, but was for your use, and you agreed to make the payments. Is that correct?
My name was also on the car, too.
Fine. And you broke up when?
The summer of 2001.
And you were the one who drove the car from September of 2000 to August of 2001. And when you broke up, you took the car.
That's correct.
And when you left, you started your life anew. So what happened, Ms. Seitz? You had the car, and then you returned it to him at some point.
Yes, I did.
When did you return the car to him?
In November of 2002.
You didn't need it anymore?
I asked him on countless times if he would please sign the vehicle over to me, and he told me, kept on telling me that I had bad credit and that it was too much paperwork and things like that.
Just a second. In November of 2002, how much time did you have left on the lease?
I think about another 2 years.
But you decided to buy another car?
Correct.
What month did you buy another car?
In December of 2002.
So, Mr. Martins, you got stuck with the car and turn-in fees, etc., and you feel as if she should be responsible for that.
That's correct.
And what were those fees?
To end the lease early, it cost $3,746.95.
How come you're only suing for $1,800?
In the state of Kansas, $1,800 is the max you could ask for.
I see. And Ms. Seitz, you are counterclaiming because you say you used your car as a down payment back in the year 2000 for this lease.
Correct.
And since he turned the car in, you should get your down payment back. Is that right?
Correct.
Don't bet the farm on that. That comes under the category of chutzpah, which means a lot of nerve. You drove this car for 3 years. What makes you think you're entitled to anything?
Well, Your Honor, I honestly asked him on several occasions if he would sign over the vehicle to me so it'd be just in my name, and he would not.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Seitz. When you asked him just to sign the vehicle over to you, had you made arrangements with the financing and the lending institution to take his name off the loan?
He said that he was going to look into that.
No. You look into it. You're driving the car. Why should he look into anything? There's a difference between taking his name off the car and giving it to you and still being responsible for the underlying loan. Do you understand the difference?
Yes.
Sure you do. So let's not be foolish here, because I'm not stupid, and I wouldn't expect you to think that I think that you're stupid. So giving you ownership of the car and him still having the liability would make him an idiot. You're not an idiot, are you?
No, ma'am.
Of course not. So why would he do such a thing? If you make arrangements to lease the car yourself and to have him released from any obligation to the lending institution, fine. But you just wanted him to turn it over to you? Ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why do you think you should get anything back and not owe him a substantial amount of money?
Because I feel I put down the car, which was $6,000, and I faithfully made payments to him for 2 years.
You made payments for the car. He took the money so that he wouldn't get stuck, so that at some point you couldn't say, well, I made the payment, and then the company says you didn't make the payment, so you made the payment to him. He wrote out his check to the company. He didn't make any money off this deal. It cost him $4,000 for you to have a car. You think that's fair? Do you think that's fair? Because you wanted a new car. You managed to get a new car. You said, I got this old lease, and I'm going to be the only person in creation who's going to be able to walk away from a 5-year lease. Listen, you're not entitled to anything back from him. He is entitled to the $1,800, which is the maximum allowed in his jurisdiction, which is all he's suing for of $1,800. It cost him $4,000 because you wanted a new car. If you had kept the lease for the next 2 years, like you agreed to, he wouldn't have had a $4,000 expenditure. That was your agreement. You were going to keep the car and make the payments. You just wanted a new car. Period. It doesn't mean you can walk away from your obligations just because he was nice enough to put his name on the form. Get real. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may in the matter of Velasquez versus Sieber. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Ms. Velasquez, Mr. Sieber was a friend of yours, and you claim that he owes you for some expenses from a trip to Spain that you took with him.
That's correct.
Or that he took with you. Mr. Sieber says there was never any agreement to pay you back any of the money you expended on his behalf, while acknowledging that you did spend money on him for plane tickets and some hotel expenses. Is that right, Mr. Sieber?
That's correct.
Okay. So let me turn to you first. I'd like you to tell me something about yourself.
Okay. I'm from Manassas, Virginia. I met Lydia in New York.
I didn't ask you where you met her. I asked you something about yourself.
Something about myself.
Yeah. First, why don't you tell me how old you are?
I'm 22 years old.
And what do you do for a living?
I sell cars.
And how long have you been selling cars?
For about 8 months now.
Is that what you want to be, a car salesman when you grow up?
No, but it pays well.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Own my own business.
What kind of business?
Maybe a daycare.
A daycare?
Yeah.
You like children?
Love children.
Why do you think that you have what it takes to guide young children into maturity? Stand up straight. The first thing you have to know is that you don't have to lean on anything.
Yes.
A table, a woman, anything. So what I want you to tell me, Mr. Sieber, is since your life's ambition is to own a daycare.
Yeah.
Yes, try yes.
Yes.
That's the first thing you have to do with children, teach them how to speak. And since that is probably one of the most laudable professions to guide children, I want you to explain to me what personality traits you believe you have that would qualify you to guide the future of America. I want you to think about that, Mr. Fastmouth, before you answer my question. Because I want you to think of what it is. Because as you see from this little repartee that we're having between us, I can swallow you up alive. We understand each other?
Oh, we understand each other.
Very good. So I want you to think very carefully, Smarty Mouth, why you believe that you can, with your talents and what those talents and moral qualities that you have are, to guide the children who are the future of America.
Because I'm consistent and committed.
Committed to what?
Committed to be able to learn whatever I have to learn to be able to teach children.
Okay. Now let's talk about your moral qualifications. You sell cars?
Yes.
Did you ever exaggerate to somebody when you sold them a car?
No.
Never?
No.
So when you're negotiating with somebody, you're always right up front. When you say, listen, my manager won't let me take a penny less than for this car, and I'm going to give up most of my commission so that you can have this car, because I want you to have this car.
Of course.
That's totally honest.
Oh, yeah.
Never said anything that wasn't true.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I want you to do this for me, Mr. Sieber. When you open up your daycare center,
yes, ma'am.
Let me know where it is.
Okay.
When did you take this trip with Miss Velasquez?
We took it March 31st.
And how long did you go for?
6 days.
Who went, Mr. Sieber?
Myself and Lydia.
Just the two of you?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume, Miss Velasquez, from reading your papers, that you had a little bit of a crush on him.
I did.
Now, what makes you think, Mr. Sieber, that even though Miss Velasquez had a crush on you, she was going to pay for your tickets?
Well, when I got the car early in February, and she asked me to take the trip with her, I told her that I would take the trip, and she said that she would cover the flight expense if I would go with her. When we got over there, the first night that we were there, advances were made, and I told her I wasn't looking for anything further. And after that happened, we got back to Northern Virginia. I started getting calls. She wanted money. So, because the advances were denied, she decided she wanted payment.
Why did you go with her, Mr. Sieber?
Because I liked her as a friend.
Did you tell her that?
Yes.
Well, tell me what you said to her.
Exactly that.
Let me hear.
I like you as a friend.
When did you tell her that?
Many times in New York when I was with her, over the phone.
When she called and asked you to go to Europe with her, did she say why she wanted you to go to Europe with her?
No.
All right, now I'll hear you, Miss Velasquez.
Thank you.
When did you call him?
I didn't call him, actually. He had called me. We initially met, and we went on a really nice romantic first date. We kept in touch. My sister got sick. He was calling to ask me about her. And through the course of the conversation, towards the end of the conversation, I had told him about a trip that I was planning for myself. I thought planning a trip for myself and going to Spain was really what I wanted to do. Then Shannon had called me. He's very charming on the phone, and he expressed his interest in coming with me.
No, just not expressing it. What did he say, if you remember?
He said, would you mind if I came with you? And I said, yeah, no, that's great. I was excited about the fact that he wanted to go with me on a trip.
Now let's get to the tickets.
Sure. He had said if you can find a ticket for around $400 that he'd go ahead and, you know, pay me for that. So the next day I did a vigorous search. I'm pretty good at the internet, and I found tickets. I had called him up and I told him how much the ticket was going to be. It was around $444. And he had said, you know, that's fine. And I said, well, I already put the hotel, so you can just pay me half for the hotels. We can split that, and then just pay me back for the flight. And he said that he would pay me back the full amount. When we got to Spain, he paid me $300 in cash. And he...
Oh, Mr. Sieber, how come you gave her $300 in cash, sir?
Oh, that was for the hotel.
You gave her $300 and said...
And he said, on April 18th, I will send you the remaining balance. So I had thought that he was going to pay me once he got back home. We had a good time. I realized, though, when we got there, his attitude towards me changed. Before that, the phone conversations were great. He was saying, you know, oh, you're so cute, and I'm listening to your CD right now because I sing or whatnot, and you're making me smile and all this charming baloney. And I fell for it. I fell for it like... I would, but when we got there, though, his attitude changed towards me. He all of a sudden was cold, distant, and it seemed like I was irritating to him.
The bloom was off the rose.
It was.
Okay, fine.
It fell down and someone squished it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've been around long enough, Mr. Sieber, to know that what goes around comes around. And if you're not nice to people, eventually it's going to come back and bite you in the behind.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Lydia Velasquez says former friend Shannon Sieber owes for a trip to Spain. Shannon claims Lydia is upset that he only wants to be friends.
All right. $444 was the plane ticket, is that right?
Correct.
And then there was some expenses for the hotel.
Correct, because we were there for 5 days and 4 nights.
And you are asking for $350, which is less than the cost of the ticket, so your $300, sir, paid portion of the plane ticket. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Look at that. You paid part of the plane ticket and you didn't even know it.
That's great.
Mr. Sieber, you look like a sweet young man. You're 22 years old, so I will attribute some of what you say to me today as being words from somebody who is not yet fully cooked. Just starting to shave and just starting to feel, you know, feel yourself. So I want you to understand something. You're supposed to have a reasonable moral compass. You're not supposed to toy with somebody else's affections. And I think that you're a smart aleck enough to know that by going to Spain with her, you were toying with her affections. You're not supposed to do that. It's unkind. And should you find yourself at the other end of this affection stick at some point in your life, I guarantee you won't like it. But I've been around long enough, Mr. Sieber, to know that what goes around comes around. And it may not come around today, it may not come around tomorrow, but if you're not nice to people, eventually it's going to come back and bite you in the behind. We understand each other?
Clearly.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $350. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's just sad when friends have to start suing each other.
I'm just happy that I'm going to actually get my money back.
There was never a relationship to begin with. It was all made up in our mind.
I might have been misled by him.
It was made very clear before we left it was what it was. There was going to be nothing more.
Not the person that I thought he was.
She's a nice lady.
He's just being rude.
We were only friends, and that's all it would ever be.
Well, we're not friends anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kurlanchik versus McEnany Burt. Step forward.
24-year-old teacher Jennifer Kurlanchik is suing her friends, 23-year-old student Paul McEnany and 24-year-old inventory controller Mike Burt, for damages to a Hummer limo she rented on her birthday. Jennifer claims they broke the sunroof.
Ms. Kurlanchik, you rented a limousine to celebrate, I assume, your 24th birthday, and you invited a whole group of people to go with you. Two of the people you invited were these two gentlemen here, who, according to you, got a little out of hand and caused damage to the limousine. You were charged for the damage, and you want them to contribute to the cost of the damage that they did themselves. They say everybody was sort of involved in the nonsense, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How old are you?
23.
What's your first name?
Paul.
24. Mike.
First name?
Jennifer.
What do you do for a living, Jennifer?
I'm a special ed teacher.
Paul?
I'm a student and I bartend.
Student of what?
Student in advertising.
Logistics management, and work as inventory control clerk, and as well as go to school.
Look what responsible people we have here. When was your birthday?
February 29th.
How big was the limousine?
It could fit 15 people. It was a H2 Hummer limousine, so it's pretty large.
I've seen those things driving in the street. You can see them coming about a block away. And how do you know these? And how do you know these two guys?
We're friends. We're in the same fraternity, sorority. We're all friends. We're friends.
We're friends.
What kind of damage was done to the limousine?
The emergency exit window flew off on a major highway, shattered pieces, and I was charged the damages.
You mean the roof, like a sunroof?
Yes, it's actually a moonroof, and it flew off. There's 3 ledges to unlatch, and the boys unlatched it, and around 2:30 in the morning, it flew off. I didn't see it fly off. That's my witness saw.
How do you know it was these two boys that unlatched the moonroof?
Well, when the incident happened, Mike looked at me and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." And I didn't know what actually had happened. I was like, okay, fine, you can take care of it. After the incident happened, Paul comes up to me and he says, well, I was touching a button that made the sunroof go up and down. And that's where I was like, oh, so Paul and Mike were doing it. They were also at the back of the vehicle where the sunroof was located, along with Tracy and one of her friends.
So that's all that you know about how this happened?
Mm-hmm.
Step up. Tell me your name.
My name's Tracy.
Tracy what?
Thompson.
Were you sitting at a location where you could observe these two young men?
The way the limo was set up is there was 2 doors in the back. There was a bench seat that went across there, and I was sitting right there. At the top where the moonroof was, there was a stereo, buttons to turn on the lights in the bar. At that point in time, I had seen people playing with all the lights because lights were changing, everything was moving around. Then all of a sudden, moonroof flew off the top of the car. It was gone. Both of these two looked at each other like, what do we do now? So.
How many people were sitting in their general vicinity?
There was one other person sitting next to me, and it was me. It was these two in front of us. And then the rest of the limo went down with people sitting all the way down in the front.
Now, you say other people were touching the buttons, other than Mike and Paul?
Not that I know of.
So it was just Mike and Paul touching the buttons?
They were the only two that could touch the buttons. There was nobody else around.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I told everybody in this limousine, you cause any damage, you can be responsible for it, because I had to sign basically.
Shh. Where are you now?
Here.
What is here?
Judge Judy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jennifer Kurlanchik says former friends Paul McEnany and Mike Burt owe for damages to a limo she rented on her birthday. The men claim they didn't do it.
Okay. Did you say to Jennifer when the moonroof flew off, don't worry, I'll take care of it?
That's correct. I did say that, but that was at the end of the night.
Okay. Now, when you said, don't worry, I'll take care of it, were you referring to the moonroof?
No, I was referring to the driver, because he was getting a little irate and telling us, who's paying for it, who's paying for it? And as we stopped the car, exited, I told her, you know, we're going to take care of it, we're going to help you out as far as talking to the limo driver, saying who was at fault, and this, that, and the other.
Not this, that, and the other thing. So you said to her, don't worry, I'll take care of it, because you were going to explain to the limo driver whose fault it was. Mm-hmm. Did you do that?
Well, no, at the point in time she asked me to leave, so I left.
So you didn't?
No.
Well, let's say that you did go to the limo driver to explain whose fault it was. What would you have told the limo driver?
I told him what...
Look at me. No, right here.
All right. Basically, I told him. I would have told him that It wasn't explained to us that this is an emergency escape hatch, because they said later on that it's an emergency escape hatch, and it was labeled. No, it wasn't labeled, and the driver never explained to us.
Then you were going to be arguing with him. Let me explain this to you, Mike. Basically, you would have said to the driver, I was touching the buttons with my friend Paul, and the moonroof fell off, but nobody explained to us that it was an emergency door. And it wasn't marked, so how are we supposed to know that it was an emergency door? Is that what you would have said to him?
In so many words, yes.
In less words than you just told me?
Yeah, hopefully.
So you would have said, yeah, we did it. But we didn't know if we touched these buttons and that sort of stuff that this moonroof was going to fall off. It was not properly marked.
Right.
But we did it.
Well, the only thing I had to do with it was I closed it when we got to Dallas. We were leaving from Denton to Dallas. Somebody opened it other than me and Paul. When we got to Dallas, I closed it. That's the last thing I had to do with it. And everybody's pointing fingers at me for some reason. And I'm trying to tell her, no, it's not me. And she doesn't want to buy that. She wants to say, you know, yeah, you did
somebody
it.
Else,
she just basically wants to get her money back.
From what Jennifer told me is there are 3 different latches too, and the only thing I ever touched is the one front latch that I thought would push it up, and it went flying off. So those 2 latches had to be undone, and I know other people around that area. I wouldn't, yeah.
Okay. Now, why did you push that one latch up?
Just to open. I thought it was a sunroof. It looked like a sunroof. Nobody told us it was an emergency exit.
You just wanted to get some air.
Yeah. There's 15 bodies, body heat, and everything else. So we opened up.
So, Jennifer, what?
I have warning signs on the sunroof as well as the latches. There had to be some work done to get these latches to come off. It's not a simple button. It's not
well, maybe it wasn't their fault, my dear. Maybe it was the fault of the limousine.
Can I
maybe.
say shh. Sorry.
Why, you want to fight with me about that?
No.
Maybe it was the fault of the limousine.
Well, I told everybody in this limousine, you do anything, you cause any damages, you break any glass, you're going to be responsible for it, because I had to sign basically. Shh.
Where are you now?
Here.
What is here?
It's Judy.
My space. Go ahead.
I had to sign a blank credit card slip that says we're going to charge you $600 for the flat rate.
Jennifer, my dear, you take 15 people out for an evening of partying. You sign on for a 15-passenger Hummer limousine, and you are going to expect that some damage might be done, for which you are going to be responsible. There isn't a shred of credible evidence that these 2 young men are responsible for that emergency exit. Not at all. The fact that they were sitting around there, the fact that they may have been touching it, the fact that he went to open up one of the latches to let some air in, that doesn't make him responsible. I don't even know if you're responsible. It's quite possible that there was a malfunction by the car. And the fact that the limousine company is charged a credit card, perhaps you should sue them.
The fact that they touched the roof and
so what?
Flew off?
So what? So what? That doesn't make it their fault. I am not satisfied that you have sustained your burden to demonstrate that these 2 young men are responsible, that they either negligently, recklessly caused the damage to the limousine. It is just as plausible that someone else had touched one or more of those things at some point during the evening, and when he opened up one latch to let in some air, the thing fell off. That's also plausible. That doesn't make him responsible. And if the limousine company refuses to give you back your money, sue him. Because I don't think you have a case against these 2 young men. That's all. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step. Crum versus Granberry Foltz Williams. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Crum, somehow you are related to these 3 young ladies.
Yes, Yvonne Foltz is my aunt. And
who's the aunt? Yes?
And Jaleesa and Janika are my cousins.
Are they your children?
Yes.
For some reason, there was a falling out with your aunt and her children, and it is your claim that one or all of them were responsible for keying your car.
Yes.
When was your car keyed?
December 10th in the parking lot of Walmart.
Who had driven the car there?
Yvonne was driving her vehicle.
Who had driven the keyed car?
Oh, I drove my car.
What time did you get to the parking lot?
I'd say I was probably there around 9:30ish because I just got off of work. And
9:30
in the morning. AM.
What kind of work do you do?
I do medical assistant.
Who was driving your car?
Your Honor, at that point in time, I was at work.
You were at work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car do you have?
2008 Kia Rio, black 4-door.
And where do you work?
At that time, I was working at Target Distribution in Woodbury, Minnesota.
You still working there?
No, ma'am.
Who was your supervisor?
My supervisor there was, I forgot her name because I'm not working there anymore due to all this stuff that's going on now.
I'll wait. Remember who your supervisor was and the phone number.
I don't have that with me right now.
We'll wait. Go get it.
Excuse me.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
17.
Where do you work?
Don't work right now.
What do you do?
I'm looking for employment.
What were you doing on December 10th, 2010?
I was at my cousin's house.
Cousin's house where?
In St. Paul, Minnesota.
And where is this Walmart parking lot?
It's in Blaine, Minnesota.
How far is that from St. Paul?
Like 50 minutes.
How did you get to St. Paul?
My cousin.
Came to pick you up?
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I was there for like 3 days.
From when to when?
Saturday, and
Date?
I don't know what date it was because December 10th never happened at Walmart, and the 10th would have been a Monday.
I just asked you what date. You were visiting
I'm not sure.
with your cousin. I didn't ask you. December 10th did in fact happen. It was a day.
Yeah, I went over there before December 10th, and it was that weekend, so it was a Saturday. What I'm saying is December 10th, I don't know the date, but it was days before that.
Who went with you?
My sister and my daughter. She was suspended that day, so that's also why she was with
suspended.
me.
How old is your daughter?
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister
was
was
together because
suspended.
it was a weekday and she was suspended from school, so we were together in St. Paul.
How old is your daughter?
She'll be 4 on April 21st.
Ms. Crump, can you tell me whether this was a trip that you had planned to make to Walmart?
Yes, indeed it was. I was going to go to Walmart to go shopping for Christmas shopping for my kids.
Yes.
And as I was on my way there, I saw Yvonne Carr following me.
Just a second. You have the phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
And the name of your supervisor?
Jill.
Just hand it to me. Thank you. So you were on your way to Walmart and you passed the defendant's car.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's when I seen her make a really quick right turn behind me. So I kept going, and at the time I'm on the phone with my mom too, saying like, oh, I see your sister and she's following me. And she's like, just keep going to where you're going. And I drove to Walmart, which was probably about a couple blocks from there. And once I got there, I noticed they were still behind me. So then I hurry up and parked.
Over there. Look at me.
So I hurry up and parked. And once I parked, they parked only about, I'd say, a few cars from me.
Who was in the car?
It was Yvonne, Janika, and Jaleesa.
Go ahead.
So anyhow, I parked, and they were still behind me, and my mom was on the phone, so I'm like, okay, they still here. Why are they here? So she said, just go into the Walmart. And before I get out of my car, I can hear them yelling, oh, I'm going to F this B up. If she don't get out the car, we'll break the windows and get her out. And if she just act funny or say something funny, we're going to beat her up.
So, Ms. Crump, there is no question in your mind that the defendants were at the Walmart parking lot on December 10th?
Correct.
That she was not at work at December 10th at 9:30 in the morning?
Correct.
And these two were not in, I don't know, visiting a cousin for a couple of days. They were with their mother?
Correct.
And I don't really have to get into what this family dispute was all about. I don't want to know. Okay. Suffice it to say, I assume that at one time you were a close family, and because of something you're not a close family anymore.
Right.
And nobody knows how to just not be a close family without being destructive.
Exactly, or violent.
I don't care. That's not my problem. I don't want to put this family back together. I don't care if you're not back together. All I care about is your keyed car.
Me too, exactly.
Now, did you go into the Walmart?
I did. I actually ran and afraid of being assaulted by them three. So I ran into Walmart.
And when you came out is when you noticed your car was keyed?
I noticed the damages on my car.
And you did not see any of them key your car?
No, but I'm pretty sure they did it because
Just
they were
a second.
saying.
It's very easy to determine. Can I see pictures of your car, please? Would you show me where it was keyed? Are you talking about these marks here? I don't know. It's very hard when you do these blow-up pictures to see what you're talking about.
Circle with damages, please.
Did you take those pictures with your phone?
I did.
I'd like to see it in your phone rather than blown up so that I can't see a thing.
And you can just move your finger towards the left and it should keep going.
Got it. Now I got it.
Okay.
Much easier to see. Thank you. Okay. So far, there is no proof other than your statement that they were, in fact, there. You didn't see them do it. But certainly, she says she was at work. They were in some other place. So if they were lying to me about her being at work on that day, that's easy, right? Yvonne, right? If you were lying to me about not being at work.
I have no reason to lie, ma'am.
Great. And this supervisor would know whether or not you were at work on December 10th at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You swore in an answer, I was at work, these two weren't with me, they were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example, that's why she's suspended from school.
And later today,
Them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us.
The raggedy bees were the two of you?
Yeah, well, she accused her
Okay, I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jasmine Crum says family members Yvonne Fultz and her daughters Jaleesa Granberry and Janika Williams keyed her car.
Jill, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. Good morning. I'm in the middle of trying a case, and there was a date in question as to whether one of your former employees was actually working. The date is December the 10th, 2010, in the morning. Thank you, Jill. Was she there at any time that week? Thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Not supposed to lie in front of your children.
That I don't do.
You're not supposed to lie in front of your children and make them co-conspirators in your lie. You understand?
Your Honor, I am
Do
not
you
a liar.
understand?
Maybe I have got a date wrong because I was working a lot of
Listen,
overtime.
don't tell me I have the date wrong. You know exactly why you're coming to court. You know exactly the date. You swore in an answer. I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
No, Your Honor.
No? You don't think so? Well, you weren't working on December 10th. How much did it cost to fix your car?
I have the repair damages.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I'm not speaking to you.
I haven't gotten it fixed yet.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Step out. Think twice about your mothering.
All these are excuses. You may step out.
I'm pretty sure that they showed you all their drama right here on camera. They're drama queens.
They're all young adults, 18 and older, who physically assaulted my daughter.
2 years ago, Yvonne cut me with a butcher knife here. She cut me here.
I've been up and down for months and months with all this harassment.
I think it's maybe jealousy on their side.
I have a son who's been shot by somebody on her entourage side of the family.
I filed a restraining order to keep them away from me and my children.
It was just crazy to me how they thought they was going to come in there and lie. I wonder why she hated on us. We never did anything to her.
I have assault charges. I have restraining orders and everything.
It's just been going on and on and on, and there's so much hatred and stuff in between the families.
With them people, there is no family.
I'm glad we came to Judge Judy today to settle that, and for once, somebody spoke up for us, and it looks right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Rowe. Step forward.
20-year-old Shanae Lewis is suing former friend, 20-year-old Brianna Rowe, for keying her car. Shanae claims Brianna admitted to the crime on Facebook.
Miss Lewis, it is your claim that the defendant keyed your car, caused damage in the amount of about $2,500. Miss Rowe says she didn't do it. How do you know each other?
I know Brianna because we were friends in high school. We hung out with the same people and went to the same parties, so we...
All right, so that's how you know each other.
Correct.
When was your car vandalized?
In the summer, around July 2010.
What do you mean around July?
July 2010. I don't know the exact date.
Did you report it to the police?
No, I did not.
Do you remember where your car was?
Yes, I do.
Where was your car?
It was parked at a mutual friend's parking spot in an apartment.
Where?
In Citrus Heights, California.
What's the address?
I do not know the name of the apartments.
I didn't ask you the name. What's the address?
I do not know the address.
What do you know?
I know that my car was parked in a covered parking spot that was allowed by the owner of the apartment.
Well, you can't tell me if it was allowed by the owner of the apartment because that's hearsay.
Okay, well, my car was parked in a covered parking spot.
And?
And it was keyed.
And?
And I have proof that Brianna Rowe did it.
I'd like to see your proof.
Well, we were at a mutual
friend.
friend.
Listen to me.
Yes.
I want to see your proof.
Okay, I have documents of the pictures of my car.
Listen to me. I want to see the proof.
Okay, here's the proof of my car.
I don't have to see the keys car. You don't even know when it happened. I want to see proof that the defendant keyed your car.
Okay, well, she admitted on Facebook to doing it.
Let me see it.
This is the conversation right here, and it's highlighted right there.
Bird, you have younger children. Would it be possible for you to interpret this gibberish that is highlighted for me?
I'll give it a shot. Okay. Laugh out loud. I can care less for you. I keyed your car because my best friend didn't like you. But I'm too grown to go bad on you on Facebook. I'll leave being ignorant to you. I guess anyway, have a nice day.
It's almost like reading Sanskrit.
Yes. I don't dig text speak, but I know it.
Could you show that to the defendant?
Yes.
Take a look at that. Is that your thesis?
Oh, I have one of these too.
Well, I'm asking you, is that yours?
Mm-hmm. Did I write it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you tell her you keyed her car?
Because she had made a post that said, Granddad is getting my car detailed.
That said what?
She was getting her car detailed and fixed after them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us because she accused us of keying her car.
The raggedy bees were the two of you?
Yeah, well, she accused her
I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you. You knew that yourself without having been named. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Because she had already accused of us doing it.
So even though you weren't named, you decided to tell her that she was right, that you did in fact key her car. And if Officer Byrd read it right, you told her why you keyed her car.
I wrote it to make her mad.
Well, why would you think if she already knew that you and your raggedy friend were the ones that keyed her car, why did you think it would make her mad if you admitted it?
No, she thought Elena had keyed her car.
No. She talked about two raggedy people.
She didn't say how many.
No,
people.
she said after them.
Yes.
Well,
and then,
raggedy, and she uses the word with an S.
Mm-hmm. Plural.
That would be two.
Yes,
two.
but
So
it was 3 of us at the house.
3 of you. Well, how many of you keyed the car?
None of us.
None of us. Well, then why would you admit to keying her car?
Because she accused us of it. After her car got keyed, she came in the house, threw papers at Elena, and told us we keyed her car.
There's something wrong with you. Honestly, there's something wrong with you. I mean, I can't get myself overly exercised about this case, quite frankly, Miss Lewis, because you don't even remember what date it happened. How many times has your car been keyed?
None.
Well, one.
Well, once.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
This is your Facebook page?
Yes.
And this is you with this bathing suit?
Yes, if that is a bathing suit.
Well, I just want to know.
Yes, that is me up there.
Is there any reason why you think that this is an appropriate picture just to send around the internet?
I did modeling, and that was a picture that I like, and I feel that I wanted to post it.
I need to take deep breaths. I need to take deep breaths.
It's only going to get worse.
Your Honor, me and the defendant had been friends before this happened.
The defendant and I had been friends also.
The defendant and I were friends before this happened. And the reason why I believe the motive that they had...
I don't care what their motive was. She admitted it. It's irrelevant to me what her motive was.
Okay.
I assume that you had some sort of a falling out. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Now I'll see the pictures of your car.
Okay.
When did you take these pictures of your car?
I took them when it happened, and then I took some more before I came.
And since you don't know exactly when this happened, sometime last summer, I assume you've been driving around with your car exactly the way it is?
Yes.
Do you have an estimate to have it fixed?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. No, they're not repairing any dents. She didn't dent the car. She keyed it.
There's dent marks and scratch marks on
Very good.
That.
Yeah, okay. Could you explain to me why you filed this lawsuit for $2,500 and the estimate that you have was $15,000?
Because I am suing for, I believe that, for the scratches and for punitive damages.
For punitive damages for what?
Because every time that I have to drive around my car and have the word written on it, that's embarrassing for me to have to ride around and be disrespected like that. I have a newborn son and I don't want that portrayed for me. I'm not.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
What do you have a newborn son for? I thought you went to school.
I do go to school.
Who takes care of your newborn son?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, spend $500, get your car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount. Some of the people that you deal with, Mr. LeGrand, may revere you as being some sort of spiritual leader. I guarantee you, I'm not one of those people. All right? I'm telling you, you went on a trip, you slept, you ate, you took a plane, you, not the spirits, your body took the plane to the Philippines and had a nice trip. Pay for it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,697. That's all.
He couldn't make it because he's had too many issues with her and pending court problems with her that he has to take care of. So that's why he couldn't make it.
He didn't have any pending court matters today, did he?
None at all.
Hmm?
None at all. He never
None at all.
has.
But he decided to take the high road and just be absent, even though he probably created all of these problems to begin with. Now, when did you last live with, what's his first name?
E. Lincoln.
E. Lincoln?
E. Lincoln.
E. period Lincoln?
Yes.
Well, what's his first name?
E. Lincoln.
There's no period between the E and the Lincoln. It's just E. Lincoln.
E. Lincoln. When did you first live with E. Lincoln?
When was the first I lived with him?
Yeah. First, give me the year.
Probably it was 2001.
And when did you last live with him?
2005.
When in 2005?
Around February, March.
And when did you start to be involved with Mr. Lincoln?
We officially were involved in October.
Of 2006?
2005.
Before a friend.
So there was a little overlapping?
No.
Yes. I was living with him and she knew.
Okay, so there was a little overlap.
Yeah.
They weren't together.
Yeah.
Hey. There was some overlapping. Now, it is your claim, Ms. Garcia, that the defendant vandalized your car, not on one occasion, but on multiple occasions.
Yes.
And despite the fact that you never saw her vandalize your cars, you have proof by way of admissions that she did, in fact, vandalize your
Yes.
cars. The car was vandalized.
On the morning of October 23rd, 2005 was when I noticed it, so it was that night.
Okay. And what was the nature of the vandalism?
She had keyed.
Don't tell me what she did.
She keyed
Someone.
profane
No,
words.
listen to me.
Someone. Shh. Someone keyed profane words on my hood, my driver's door, and the back driver's door, because it's a 4-door, and put key marks on the rest of it, and knocked off the driver's side mirror.
Okay. Do you have photographs of the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them. Now, with regard to this incident in October, what proof do you have that the defendant was responsible?
Well, before my involvement with E. Lincoln, I believe he said it was like in 2002.
Don't tell me what he said to you. That's hearsay.
In 2002, his vehicle was vandalized the same exact way.
You cannot tell me anything that he said to you, because that is hearsay. Do you have any proof that the defendant committed that vandalism on your car?
I have a police recording because on the night of January 3rd, 2006, she was calling my phone saying, "I'm going to vandalize your vehicle again." My roommate...
Okay, so you have a recording.
Yes, and the police report that stating that the police...
Let me see it, please.
That he heard the recording.
Where is the recording now?
They couldn't get it through, but we do have it, but it's real fuzzy. But the
She
police
probably messes with the cop. She probably messes with the cop.
No.
She probably talks to the cop.
I'm not speaking to you.
Sorry.
Car was damaged again when?
The next damage was on March 6, 2006.
Okay. With regard to the March incident, you told the police that it could have been any one of 3 people.
Right.
I'm
sorry.
I'm already convinced, madam, that you damaged her car in October. Already convinced based upon the police report. You want to be responsible for March too?
No.
Then keep your mouth shut. You told the police with regard to the March incident that it could have been any of 3 people. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Those 3 people are her friends.
I don't care. You're not responsible for your friends, Ms. Garcia. So you have no proof with regard to March 6th. Is that correct?
That's correct. But then there was another one.
When?
April 10th. And that one, both the taillights were broken off and both the side mirrors were broken off.
Did you have any conversation with the defendant about what happened to your car?
After the January 3rd conversation was the only conversation.
Okay. You want to explain yourself, madam, with regard to the October 23rd, 2005? You want to explain yourself to me?
I didn't do it.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Then why, madam, when the police got you on the phone, which they did?
Why isn't that? She probably talks to
Just
the
a
cop.
second. Would you get her out of here? Thank you. Get her out of here. Why did you hang up the phone when a policeman identified himself on the phone?
Because when a person says the police are on the phone, you don't know if you could go to jail for something stupid or not. She played on my phone up until she called the cops on purpose, and then that's when I called back and was arguing with her because she told my son when he stayed at her house with my ex-boyfriend that she don't like me and all this other type of stuff. So I called her and was, arguing with her or whatever. And then she was like, "You did this to my car," or whatever. She had the police right there. So he probably was hanging out at her house because she talks to a lot of people and she goes downtown and she talks to cops and stuff. So he probably was sitting right there maybe. Maybe that's the case. I'm serious.
Let me see the estimate for the damage to your car on October 23rd,
This is the one
2005.
from the October
Police
23rd.
officers indicated that they heard the recording. Your recording.
I didn't get no police report.
But I got it.
They didn't say nothing to me.
Listen to me. I got it. I'm speaking. You don't have to help me.
She don't really know who did it, nothing to her car. It's so many people. She sleeps around with people she don't know.
Listen, Miss Attitude, you were annoyed with her because she was bad-mouthing you to your... I'm speaking. This is what you just told me. You're shaking your head no.
No.
You're shaking your head no. You just told me you were angry with her because she had bad-mouthed you to your son. That's why you were yelling at her on the phone.
Right.
Because she had bad-mouthed you to your son. That was the conversation that you said was overheard by the police officer.
Right, then
that was... Listen to me. That was after her car was vandalized in October.
Why didn't I call her before and argue with her if I messed up her car or somebody else was messing up her car? Just because I called and argued with her, that don't got nothing to do with me.
Garcia played officers a message on her cell phone left today by Jamie stating, amongst other things, that she was going to damage her vehicle once again. According to the officer now implicating herself in the previous incident. Ryder was present when Jamie then called back Garcia and heard her repeatedly use profanity when she was addressing Garcia. Ryder attempted to speak with Jamie, however, she hung up on the phone when the Ryder identified himself as a police officer.
Right, I hung up.
She or her friends probably did the damage to your car. Unfortunately, you can't prove it, but you've established to my satisfaction, based on the fact that she was angry with you, based upon the fact that she knows that E. Lincoln was two-timing her. You may or may not have known it, but she knew it.
Yes.
October 23rd, 2005. Was that on or about the same time that you had this discussion with your son?
No, it just was recently when the first time I caught her, the time that she taped me. That was not the first conversation was. I had to have my phone cut off.
No, that wasn't just recently, madam. It wasn't just recently. That was 4 months ago.
I know. That was the last time I talked to her.
How did you get her phone number?
She called my phone playing on it with her phone number. That's how I got it.
So what did you call her back for?
Because she was arguing and playing on my phone, so I cussed her out for playing on my phone.
You also said to her that you were going to damage her car again.
I did not say that.
So the police are lying?
Yeah.
The police are lying?
No, I don't think the police are lying. I think maybe it's one of her friends or something.
Police were lying?
No, I'm not going to say the police were lying, but...
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,619. That's all. Stay away from her car.
Kate Vermeulen is suing her ex-husband, James Vermeulen, for the unpaid balance on a Saturn he totaled.
Mrs. Vermeulen, this is your former husband, and according to your complaint, you swapped cars with each other because your mother was coming to visit. You needed a larger car. That was last summer. So it's nice to hear that there was at least a reasonable relationship that you had, so that you accommodated your former wife, because you have children together, so that she would use a larger car that was yours. And in any event, you wrecked her car. And there was an outstanding loan on the car. The car was, in fact, totaled. And your former wife feels as if you should be responsible for the difference between what the insurance company paid on the car and the amount of the loan that she's still responsible for. And that amount is $3,634. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have a counterclaim because you say at the time she borrowed your car, she had a minor fender bender, but damaged the bumper of the car.
Correct.
To the tune of about $800, and she should pay that.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim. But let's get to the big ticket item here, Mr. Vermeulen. When did you total her car?
I believe it was August 10th. I was on my way to work.
8/10. And when did you damage the bumper to his car?
Actually, it was so minor that I don't have the exact date.
Okay, but you called and told him about it?
Yes.
Okay. And you have a picture of it, I'm sure.
Yes, I do. I have a picture of the damages that were done to the bumper and actually an imprint.
Okay.
Your Honor, it was September 5th, I do believe, when he ruined my car, when he totaled my vehicle.
Why do you think that it was August 10th, sir?
I thought that was the day.
Well, it wasn't. It was September.
In September?
Yeah, because she would have a police report with regard to it.
Okay, I didn't know that there was any police report. I wasn't charged in the accident.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? So it wasn't in August, it was September. That's a big difference.
Sorry.
How do you account for that difference?
I don't know, Your Honor. I was working at that time there. I wasn't really paying attention to the date.
When did you swap cars?
Probably a couple days before her mother arrived. She was coming in for England. Near the end of the summer, which was
in August.
In August.
Now, it's clear that, according to your answer, sir, that the accident was your fault, that your foot got stuck, according to you, on the gas pedal.
Between the gas pedal and the brake, Your Honor.
So it was your fault, right?
I guess if that's the way that you see it, yes, Your Honor.
Well, sir, unless you were driving a very unique car. The gas pedal was put in by the factory. It remained in the same spot. The brake was put in by the factory. It remained in the same spot. You were familiar with the car. You had had it for some time. According to your answer, my foot got stuck between the gas and the brake. You want me to read you what you signed?
No, Your Honor.
So if the foot got stuck between the gas and the brake, it's your fault.
Okay.
Those two things didn't move together.
I was wearing my work boots at the time, which are larger than my way to work. And it is a sports car. The gas pedals are closer together. I drive a truck, Your Honor.
Well, whose fault is that, sir? The car's fault or your fault?
It was an accident.
No, sir. If you're wearing big boots and it's a small car, you take your boots, you put it in the back of the car, and you wear shoes that don't get stuck between the gas pedal and the brake. The car can't accommodate your work boots, right?
Right, Your Honor.
You have to accommodate the car, right?
Correct.
So it's your fault. Now tell me why you believe that you're not responsible for the difference between what the insurance company paid and what your former wife has to pay on the loan.
I believe it's not my fault due to the fact that I wasn't charged with the accident, reckless driving, careless driving. I had a medical report that says that there was no drugs or alcohol involved. I also had her insurance company clear me of all liabilities in relations to her car.
You made babies with him. Just because, sir, you weren't found guilty of a crime, that there was no drugs, alcohol, you weren't speeding, doesn't mean that the accident wasn't your fault. It was your fault. You just said to me I was wearing big work boots. This was a sports car. It doesn't accommodate those kind of shoes. My foot got stuck between the two pedals and I lost control of the car. And I just tried to explain to you what a normal person of reasonable intelligence would understand, that the car can't accommodate your shoes. Your shoes have to accommodate the car. Now, do you have a picture of the damage she did to the bumper of your car?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it. And an estimate on having it fixed.
I have an estimate right here.
Sir, you brought me an estimate from this place for $1,154?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, would you explain to me why?
I'm only asking for to cover the parts, the actual bumper itself, and have it painted there. I'm not asking for taxes, labor, insurance there. Originally, I asked her to pay for half because she is still entitled on her vehicle. She's entitled on the insurance, and she's still
Did you have
liable.
Insurance on the car?
Yes, I did.
And what was the deductible?
$500, Your Honor.
So that all you're going to pay for is $500.
And then you're going to have a claim with your insurance company, and your insurance will go up. I decided to pay for the claim out of pocket rather than going through my insurance company and having my deductibles raised.
Well, what do you think is going to happen to her insurance, sir? Because you totaled her car. What do you think is going to happen to her insurance company that had to pay out a totaled car?
I'm quite aware that she's going to have a claim with her insurance company, and her deductible will probably go up as well as her insurance payments.
So you mean you want me to give you a benefit and not her?
I'm not asking for special treatment.
Yes, you are, sir. What you're saying is I decided that I didn't want to go through my insurance. So I decided to pay for it myself. And therefore, instead of just paying for the deductible, which I believe should be responsible for paying, if you in fact fix the car, then what you're saying is I want her to pay the additional amount, which is $822, which is the cost of the bumper, which is what you're suing for. Because if I went through the insurance, my insurance premiums would go up. That's
Correct.
what you're saying to me.
Yes.
But her insurance premiums are going to go up substantially more than yours, sir, because they had to pay out on a new car, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Right. Say nothing. You had a $500 deductible. You had to pay out $3,634. From that, I'm deducting $500. I'm awarding you on your claim $3,100. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now I want to see where you fixed the car. Do you have a bill for fixing the car?
That was a quote there. I've had the work done since
Where?
I paid for the parts.
Show me.
I don't have that with me, Your Honor.
Well, why did you bring me this, sir?
That is a quote of what it would cost at a body shop to get it done. What I paid for out of pocket was the parts and the paint.
Why, sir? Wouldn't you bring me the actual cost of what it cost to fix the car?
I didn't have the bills at the time. It was short notice. I didn't care at the time, Your Honor. I didn't really save the bills there. I didn't plan on coming to court. I didn't think I was going to be in court today.
When did you get this?
When did I got that?
Yes.
3 days before I knew I was going to be in court.
Well, instead of put your hand down. Instead of getting this estimate for work that was never going to be done because according to you already did the work, right?
Correct.
So this is bogus.
It's not bogus.
This is bogus. So instead of wasting the time to take the car in to see what it would be to fix the car, which according to you already fixed, so it would be difficult for them to give you an estimate on fixing a car that was already fixed because you said you fixed it. Why didn't you, instead of getting this estimate, go back to the place where you bought the parts and say, I lost a copy of the bill. Can I please have a copy of the bill for the parts?
I could ask for the original copy. I could send them to you.
Why did you waste time getting this instead of getting the receipts for the actual work?
I have no answer for that, Your Honor.
Well, then you're not getting a thing. Strike it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,634. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You did a lot of fast talking, sir. Did not impress me. That's all. Step out. The defendant was your boyfriend. He became pregnant sometime in 2005.
Yes.
You broke up with the defendant, and you were pregnant at the time.
Yes.
It is your claim that he assaulted you, and as a result of that assault, your baby was born prematurely and died. You want the defendant to pay for half of the baby's funeral expenses and damages for the assault.
Yes.
Mr. Jones says that you were the one who assaulted him, as a matter of fact, on the day that you broke up, that he never agreed to pay for the child's funeral expenses. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even positive that the child was his and told you that he had wanted a blood test before he assumed responsibility of the baby. That's your defense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. When did you become pregnant, Miss Johnson?
I found out I was pregnant July 22nd.
Of what year?
2005.
And were you living with Mr. Jones at the time?
Robert was staying with me along with his son because he was having arguments with his mother.
Did you move in with her in July or before that time?
I'll be staying over, you know.
You were staying over?
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you break up?
November 20th as a result of the assault.
Just listen to me. Had he slept at the house the night before?
Yes.
And the night before that?
Yes.
So tell me what happened on November the 20th.
November the 20th, I received a phone call from Rob at about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, then he hadn't been at your house 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, he was at the bars. He would frequently go to the bars and then come over to my house afterwards. And he had called me at 3 o'clock in the morning stating that he was going to come over. I ran downstairs and unlocked the door like I would usually do, and he didn't come in. So after a while, I looked out my window and saw that the car was parked and the headlights were on and the car was still running. So I laid there for a couple more minutes and then got dressed. And when I walked outside, I saw that Rob was passed out in the driver's seat. So I crawled into the passenger seat and woke him up and asked him, you know, what he was doing and why he hadn't come in the house, and he told me that he didn't know. So we were trying to get the headlights of the vehicle to turn off. They wouldn't turn off. So I suggest that we just unplug the battery. I was 5 months pregnant. I didn't want to be fighting with him. I would much rather just go to bed. He wanted me to, you know, be with him that night, and he wanted to be around me. So I stated, you know, let's just unplug the battery. We couldn't figure out the lights. So he started to proceed to back out of my driveway. I told him that he was drunk, that I didn't want to go anywhere with him. And he wasn't listening to me, so I leaned over and smacked him in the face. I went like this to the front of his face. He then looked at me, told me to do that again, and I looked at him and said, what did you mean? And the next thing I knew, he punched me in my face.
So first you punched him and then he punched you?
Yeah, I didn't punch him.
No, just a second. So first you punched him.
Yes.
And then he punched you?
Yes.
Okay, now I got it.
But the only reason I hit him is because he wasn't listening to me and he wouldn't stop the vehicle.
I got you.
So then my nose...
He wasn't listening to you?
Yes.
Why don't you just take the keys out of the ignition?
I didn't think of that.
Shouldn't have gotten in the car in the first place?
I shouldn't have told him to come over that evening.
That's also correct.
Knowing that he was drunk.
That is also correct.
Yes, I agree.
Keep going.
I realized that my nose was bleeding very, very badly. So I opened the car door and I half jumped out of the car, and he kind of gave me a little push along with it because he was laughing at the time. And I ran in the house and proceeded to call my mother first. And
so you weren't too far from where the house was?
No, I live on the second house at the corner of the block, and we were at the corner of the block.
Keep going.
I called my brother and he took me to the emergency room.
And what did they do for you there?
I first saw a police officer, and they went to arrest Rob.
That doesn't answer my question. What did they do for you in the emergency room?
At the emergency room, they took x-rays of my face, and I was having a sharp pain that was shooting from my back to my stomach. So then I was told that I had to go up to the maternity floor for monitoring on the baby.
And that was in November?
Yes.
And when was the baby born?
The baby was born in February.
February what?
7th.
How much did she weigh?
She weighed 2 pounds, 2 ounces.
And when did she pass away?
The 11th.
Between November 20th and February 7th, did you see the defendant?
I saw him at the court dates.
Other than that?
No, because there was a court order for him to not be within 1,000 feet of me.
Now, when did you have this conversation with him with regard to paying for the baby's funeral expenses?
Okay, the first conversation I had with Robert was when he called me in late June after Father's Day. And I said, well, I kind of need money, you know, we should be paying for her gravestone, and I have funeral expenses that I couldn't get a grant from the state from everything. And he told me that he would give me $200 in August, and that him and his mother could save that together. I then called him on August 24th, and he told me he didn't have the money. So I said that I would pay the rest of it and that he could just pay me back. And he proceeded to say that that was fine. The next time I spoke to Robert was on September 17th when he called me and asked me if I wanted to go fishing with him with him. So I said, yeah, that I would go fishing because I wanted to speak to him about, the money.
Don't tell me why. You agreed to go fishing with him?
Yes. I knew
Is
that.
this the first time you had seen him other than the courthouse? Listen to me.
No.
Other than the court proceeding, is this the first time you saw him since November?
Other than court and then our daughter's birth, no.
Well, you didn't tell me about the daughter's birth.
My sister called him the morning that I was supposed to have a cesarean section. I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure, and then becomes toxic and it affects the baby's heart rate. And the first time I had high blood pressure was December 20th, and it proceeded to get worse throughout the pregnancy due to stress-related causes.
Don't tell me what it was due to, madam, unless you're a physician. Are you a physician?
No.
Good. Go ahead.
My sister called him the morning that I was supposed to have the cesarean section. He showed up shortly after our daughter was born, and I asked him if it would be okay with him to go up with her to the hospital up in the cities, because we live in Mankato, and she was being airlifted to Minneapolis. He said that he would go and be with her because they didn't expect her to live past the night. The next day, I was released from the hospital, and the following morning, Robert came down from the cities and took us up to the cities where the hospital was because we weren't aware of where it was.
What do you mean he took you? How did he take you?
We followed him.
What do you mean you followed him?
My mother and sister and I followed him in a different vehicle. Him and his mother drove in their own vehicle. So when we got to the cities, he went to a basketball tournament and left us with my daughter so I could spend time with her. And then later on that evening, he came back to the hospital when I was at the hotel the following day.
I'm asking you when you spent time with him.
I didn't spend...
You didn't see him at the hospital?
No, he left as soon as he got us there. We got up to the room.
You didn't see him in the hospital is my question.
No, yes, I seen him at the hospital.
How many times did you see him in the hospital?
Just that first day.
So the baby died in February?
Yes.
Between February and September 17th when he called to go fishing, did you see him?
On occasion, out and about, at like local stores, yes.
Other than seeing him at local stores, did you have a cup of coffee with him? Did you have a sandwich with him? Did you go out to a movie with him?
No.
Is that true, sir?
It's true.
So what prompted you to call her up to go fishing on September 17th?
Actually, she called me, and I just had mentioned we were going fishing. And if she wanted to come, it was a beautiful day out. So she said, sure. So went fishing, took her home, that was it.
Go ahead. So continue with your story, madam. Here we are.
We went fishing.
We are now September 17th fishing, and he hasn't given you any money.
And when we went fishing, Robert and I took his mother to Cub Foods so that she could get milk for the house before he dropped me off at my apartment, which is about 3 blocks away from Cub Foods, which is a local grocery store.
Just keep going, please. I don't need a map of the town. Keep moving.
So after we dropped his mother off at Cub Foods, it was him and I in the vehicle, and I brought up the money, and he told me that he had bills himself that he needed, and I proceeded to leave the vehicle. And then at the powwow, I saw him and brought up the money again, and that's actually
So you weren't afraid of him?
No. Not when he's not drinking.
No, you weren't afraid of him.
No, I'm not scared of him unless...
Why in the world, some 2 years later, are you suing him now for assault?
I just think that he owes me the money. I was emotionally distraught from the loss of my daughter.
I want to know why you didn't sue him before you went fishing with him.
I didn't want to go through the court proceedings.
Well, what prompted you now to go through a court proceeding to sue him for a punch that happened 2 years ago?
The fact that he won't pay for our daughter's funeral expenses.
Did he ever tell you that he wasn't sure that the baby was his?
No, he never told me that. And if he didn't think that the baby was his, why would he go up to the cities and sit with her?
I don't know. I'm going to find out. Tell me what happened on November 20th, Mr. Jones.
Okay, I had broken up with her earlier that day because she was real emotional, and she was kind of abusive towards me. You know, she would hit me in my chest or whatever. Kind of, she did it like she knew because I wouldn't hit her, and she knew that, you know, I'm not a violent person. I never hit a female ever in my life, and I broke up with her earlier that day.
Well, tell me about breaking up with her earlier that day.
I was actually going to play ball with my friends, which I always did, and she kind of like got emotional and started, you know, kind of like crying.
No,
she cried a lot.
Kind of like, if you remembered what she said, if you remember as closely to what happened, please, I would
Well, we
like
weren't getting along before this either, so on that day, I told her that it was over.
Is that right, madam?
No.
Before he went out to the bar that night, because clearly you had to unlock the door because you would lock the door, so clearly he wasn't living with you at that moment. Did he discuss with you earlier in the day on November 20th that he was not happy with the relationship?
No, he had never once tried to or attempted to tell me that he was not happy in our relationship.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, and so I called her and told her that I was going to come get my things.
What time?
This was at like about 2:30.
In the morning?
In the morning.
You crazy? Why would you call at 2:30 in the morning to say you were getting your things?
The bar was like right by her place.
So you had been in the bar, Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't all like how she made it out to be.
I don't care whether you were all that. This is not an appropriate thing to do.
Yep,
to go 2:30 in the morning,
yep.
to go while you're slightly inebriated, to get behind the wheel of a car and go anywhere, to settle anything.
Yep.
You're supposed to wait till the morning.
Okay, so I went and grabbed tried to grab my things. I told her that, you know, I just came to get my things and that it was over, and she kind of got mad because she didn't want to never break it off anyways. And prior to this, she had injured herself twice at work to get my attention. She would, oh, I'm at the emergency room, come down. And she, according to her, was in a car accident that rolled or whatever. This is all her stories, and I never had proof of anything, so.
How many times did you go to the emergency room with her prior to November 20th?
Just the day this kid was born. But after she had gotten pregnant, she told me that, like, just like weeks after I found out, she said that we got into an argument. She said she's early enough in her pregnancy where she can say somebody else is the father. And I said, well, how do I know that's not what you're doing to me? And I tried going to her first doctor's appointment, and she left me sitting out in the lobby.
Okay, got it. Did you ever tell her that you and your mother could save up $200 until August?
Yes, I did.
And that you would give her $200?
Yeah, I said that basically so she would just, you know,
I don't care why you said it.
Yeah.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
Now, let's get back to November 20th. You said you were coming to pick up your things 2:30 in the morning.
Yep.
2:30 in the morning you got there, and?
She opened the door and she didn't want me in. And I wasn't going to barge in because that's not how I am.
Fine, so?
So she basically hit me in my eye because I told her I wanted my things and it was over. And she hit me in my eye, closed the door, looked out the window, and I said, that's fine. That's the last time you'll ever hit me. And I walked all, her sister actually dropped him off at my work.
Is what you're telling me that she never got into your car?
She never did.
All right, I'd like to see the police report, please.
Yes, and I have pictures.
I'd like to see the police report, please.
If I could say something, too, there was never even a police weren't even there.
Sir, you pled guilty to 5th-degree assault, according to the plaintiff.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so? All right, so you told the police that he doesn't live with you. That's what you told the police.
I told the police that he was staying at his mother's house.
You told the police that you do not live together and that he stays on and off, but he lives with his mother. Who are you?
Robert Armando's mother.
Stand up, please. Your last name is?
Jones.
Miss Jones, you told the police when they came to your house on November the 20th to go downstairs and get your son. Is that right?
Right.
You told him to go downstairs and get your son because he came home drunk.
Right.
And he was passed out on the couch.
Right.
Right. And you, sir, when you were questioned by the police, you were so drunk that you denied even being over at your girlfriend's house.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know, Mr. Jones, there is absolutely no indication here, nor, I assume, do you have any medical testimony that would indicate a correlation between your baby's death 2 months after you got this black eye, because that's what it was, and the baby's illness.
No.
No. So what you're suing him for is for the simple assault of giving you a black eye and the $200 he promised you for the baby's headstone. He's not responsible with regard to any of the other baby's expenses because there is no indication that this is in fact his child. In order to do that, you either have to be married, which you are not, or you have to have a blood test, which would establish that he's the father. Then he would be responsible for half of any unrecovered expenses for the child. Since you don't have that, the only thing that you have to sue him on is his agreement that he would pay you $200 towards the child's headstone, which was really gratuitous, but he promised he would. You relied on that. That you have to pay, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Since there is no correlation between the injury to your eye and what subsequently happened to the baby, I have to examine the circumstances surrounding what happened on that day. There's no question in my mind that he was drunk, that he has no recollection of what happened that day, that he's making it up as he's going along, because he even denied to the police that he was there that day. Even your mother was disgusted with you, sir. Is that a fair statement, Miss Jones?
Right.
Okay. Now, you pled guilty to assaulting her, sir.
Yes, I did.
And you received probation?
Nope, I just got a $500 fine.
No, he was placed on probation for 1 year.
Sir, you better start remembering things that happened to you.
I never was. I was supposed to get a probation officer. I never did.
I don't care whether you were supposed to, whether they never followed through and gave you a probation officer. Maybe you forgot. But if you were supposed to get a probation officer, it wasn't because they were giving you a probation officer for your birthday. They were giving you a probation officer because you were on
probation.
You have to learn, Mr. Jones, that there are consequences. However, Ms. Johnson, you don't get any awards for being the brightest bulb in the pack. When you're 5 months pregnant and your boyfriend calls 3 o'clock in the morning and says, I'm at a bar and I'm coming over, you lock your door and you keep it closed. You don't go outside to try to figure out how to get the lights off and disconnect his battery.
Yeah.
And you don't punch him in the face. But he started the problem by coming over there in the first place, which was really very stupid. And that, Mr. Jones, is going to cost you $500. So I'm issuing a judgment in the amount of $700, $200 for the baby's headstone and $500 for this 2-year-old assault. Thank you very much. That's all. Are in a parking lot. And Mr. Martinez says that the accident was both of your faults, so you should each pay for your own damage. You were all exiting a club that evening.
Right.
So what I'd like you to do is to go over to that chart that you've prepared and show me where the exit was.
This is the exit right here.
Okay, so there's a steady stream of traffic that's going sort of in the center.
Right.
And what happens is I assume that a car in the center lane lets one car in from one side and then another car goes. It's sort of alternating egress from the parking lot.
And there was police officers in the parking lot directing traffic.
Now, what kind of car were you driving?
A 2000 Chevy Malibu.
And Mr. Martinez?
A van.
So tell me what happened.
As I was trying to exit...
That was you. You're in the red.
This is me. I'm the red and he's the blue. So as they're exiting and I'm waiting in line for them to exit, I guess he got impatient and was in a hurry or whatever and tried to go around me. And his back van door was open. So as he's trying to go around me, his door caught my left bumper and my left tail light and shifted my trunk.
You have pictures of that?
No, I don't. I put it in the shop the next day, so I didn't take pictures.
Well, after his van door hit your car, what happened?
The police officer directing traffic directed us to pull this way and exchange information.
And you did that?
Yes.
You have a police report?
No, because it was on private property and there was no injuries, the police officer didn't take a police report, but he gave me a statement.
I'd like to see it. This is Police Officer M. There were 20 vehicles in the parking lot attempting to leave. Okay. So what I want you to do, sir, is to give me your version of what happened. Because I will tell you now, Mr. Martinez, the police officer observed what happened.
Okay.
So before you even think about trying to fabricate a story, I suggest you think hard about what happened.
Okay, I'll tell you what happened. Well, that night, me and my friends threw a party at a club in Union City.
I don't care.
And,
listen to me. I don't care. Get to the parking lot.
Okay, the parking lot. Okay, well,
and
like
look
I say,
at me when you're talking.
Okay, we was partying. You know, everybody had a little liquor in them.
Not me.
No, just a second.
Okay, well,
you had a little liquor in you.
I had a little liquor in me. So I'm like, we was exiting the parking lot. And could I show you on the ground? All right, this is the parking lot. I guess this is how you get out. I'm right here, she right here. I'm going up. When I was coming up, she was coming back. So we both hit each other. The reason I didn't really file no counterclaim because I figured it was both our fault.
No!
That's why I did that.
Well,
where was I going?
Just a second, just a second. Get back there.
Okay.
First of all, you had no business being behind the wheel of a truck or a van or a vehicle if you had been drinking.
Yeah.
Because it clouds your judgment.
Right.
And let me tell you what the police officer said.
Okay.
The police officer said he observed a black van with its passenger side sliding door open as it was attempting to drive around Miss Farmer's vehicle. In trying to do so, the black van side door collided with the right rear taillight of Miss Farmer's car. Mr. Martinez continued driving along the side of Miss Farmer's vehicle, causing more damage. It appeared that Mr. Martinez did not realize that he collided with Miss Farmer's vehicle. You know why that was?
I realized.
All right. So let me see an estimate, please.
I got 2 estimates. The shop that I went to gave me a discount.
Okay, but you had it fixed.
Right.
Well, how much did you pay to have it fixed?
$827.60. Here's the receipt.
Good, great. And I'm surprised that as the police officer didn't cite you for driving while under the influence of alcohol.
I also have rental car receipts because I had to get back and forth to work, and I also had a daughter that needed to get back and forth to school.
Who do you live with?
I live by myself.
I'll see them.
The receipts are in my mother's name because she rented it, but I gave her the money, cash.
All right, the judgment's for $970. That's all. Step out.
Thank you.
Burrs, and according to your complaint, the defendant has a couple of dogs, large dogs.
Yes.
You had a new car, and it is your claim that her dogs jumped on both the hood and the roof of your car to get the sun and caused damage and scratching to the car. You want the defendant to pay for that damage. And in addition to that, you say that you were forced to park in the street at some point and got a parking ticket. You want her to pay the parking ticket. Forget the parking ticket. You park in the street, that's your problem. Let's get to the scratched car. What kind of property do you live in? Do you live in a condo unit? Do you have a private house?
We live in a duplex, so it's just the 2 of our units, and there's a long driveway, and there's a gate which sections off the back where we park our cars. We're both allowed to have 2 cars back there.
Is it a backyard?
There's a yard, and there's also a concrete driveway, as well as garage space.
Did you ever see the defendant's dog?
Yes.
When?
It was about a week after I noticed the damages. When I got back from out of town and I noticed the damages, I called her and I told her what had happened.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw dog scratches all over the hood of the car.
I understand you say that the car was damaged and scratched. A week later, you saw her dogs on the car. Tell me exactly what you saw.
Okay. I looked out of my kitchen window as I was walking by it, and I saw her dog on top of my car on the roof, where there would be a sunroof, laying on the roof.
Were her dogs regularly in the backyard without being leashed?
Yes.
Did you ever discuss that with her?
Yes, but it was just something that was put to me that that's what I got this apartment for, and my dogs are going to be in the yard. So there was nothing I could do about keeping her dogs in or out of the yard, and they'd start barking at 7:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, but they had never caused damage to any of the vehicles back there before.
Did anyone else see her dogs on the top of your car?
Yes, the day that I looked out of my kitchen window, my friend Andrew was over, we were having lunch, and I saw the dog on my car, and I ran down the back stairs to shoo the dog off of my car, and Andrea was still upstairs.
Your last name?
Labe.
Tell me what you saw, Miss Labe, and if you remember the date, I would appreciate it.
I don't remember the exact date. It was mid-October.
Okay.
I was over at Amelia's house. We were in her kitchen. She happened to cross by the window that looked into the backyard. She looked out the window and said something to the effect of, "Oh my gosh," and ran down the back staircase. I went over to the window to see what she had seen, and as I looked out the window, I saw a white and brown pit bull sitting on the top of her car sunbathing, just kind of laying there sunbathing. And as I continued to look, I saw Amelia go into the backyard and shoo the dog off the car. It proceeded to simply get up, walk down the front of the car, and get off the car.
You have pictures of the damage?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
There's also pictures of the layout of the backyard and all of the scratches. There's a picture of the dog as well.
What happened when you called the defendant?
When I first noticed the scratches and the damages, I called her. I was at the grocery store. I'd just gotten out of my car, and I called her, and she apologized and said that she would pay for the damages and that we had to figure out a solution so that this wouldn't happen again. And then about a week later, I got an email from her saying that she had spoken to her mother and other people, and they didn't feel that it was her responsibility to pay for the damages.
Did you have the car fixed?
No, it has not been repaired yet.
Did you get an estimate?
I did get an estimate. I've gotten 3 estimates, and I picked the one that's right in the middle.
I'd like to see all of them. Okay, Miss Golden, why are your dogs let out in the backyard without any supervision?
Well, it's a fenced-in yard, and that's part of the reason why I moved there originally, because it's so hard to find yard in Los Angeles. So I thought it would be great that I could
have a yard for my dogs, but there is a 3-car garage that she could park her car in that she just chooses not to. If she actually thought there was a problem with my dogs, but my dogs have never...
They were on the hood of her car.
I've never seen my dogs...
I don't care whether you haven't seen it. There's no question.
Car.
I don't care whether you've seen it or not.
That's fine.
They saw it, and she saw it, and I absolutely believe them that your pit bull was taking a sunbath.
This is the first I've ever heard of that, so she never told me that. That's not true. She said that the car was scratched.
No.
When she came to me...
Miss Golden, she came to you and said her car was scratched. She wanted you to pay for it?
Yeah.
She didn't say to you, I just saw your car?
Absolutely not.
The dog?
We were in my bedroom. She came to me very casual and said, this was on October 8th, and she said, there's a couple scratches on my car that your dogs did. I go,
That's
no
not
worries.
true.
It was just something that came out of her mouth.
Oh, no.
I
Miss
said,
Golden,
no worries.
that's not true. That's not true. No, my dear. That is absolutely not true.
It is true.
I wasn't even
I mean, you could say it, and I can say it.
We were sitting,
I
she was
guarantee
sitting on my
you.
bed.
Listen to me.
remember.
I guarantee you the last word will be mine. Playpen. This is my playpen. She does not look like a nut, and her friend does not look like a nut, and there would have been no reason for her to come across to your house that day unless she and her friend, who I absolutely believe, saw your dog. I mean, your dog wasn't doing anything terrible, wasn't chewing off somebody's leg, but was taking a sunbath on her car. And my question to you is, it's nice to want to have a nice backyard, but when you signed your lease, you also knew that the defendant had the right to park her car back there, as you do.
Well, because of this, I've had to get rid of the dogs.
Just a second. Does your lease provide that your dogs can be in the backyard unsupervised?
Absolutely.
Let me see it.
Her lease.
I don't have the lease. It doesn't say anything about the dogs, but I'm allowed to have full reign of the yard.
I just want to
share the
see,
yard.
just a second. I just want to see that your lease provides that you're allowed to have dogs that have full reign, unsupervised, in the backyard. Show me that.
I don't have my lease with me.
I have emails from the landlord saying that she was in violation
Don't tell
of the
me
lease.
what the emails from the landlord are.
There's cats also that are in the yard, and raccoons and possums, and we have fruit trees with rats, so a lot of animals come into our yard.
That's very possible.
So I have pictures of cats that were in the yard.
You have pictures
that were
of
right
cats?
next to
Just a second. Do you have pictures of cats that were on the roof of her car?
Absolutely not, but neither does she.
She doesn't need any pictures. She has a witness who I believe.
I have 2 60-pound dogs, and if a dog were to go on the roof of her car, I'm pretty sure that it would dent the top of her car.
You have an expert?
My
question is, do you have an expert witness here to testify that if a 60-pound dog sat on the roof of a car, it would dent it?
Not with me today, but the
well,
people
today is when you were
that
supposed to come to court, Miss Golden. Today is when you bring your witnesses.
I couldn't get anybody to come because they all had to work, and nobody wants to deal with court.
I'm not interested in sad stories. I'm telling you, I'm not interested in cats in the backyard, in raccoons in the backyard, unless you have pictures of them or somebody saw them on the roof of her car. She has a witness who I believe, and I believe her, that the reason she came to you was because she had this happened a week before, and she had no idea how it happened. Until that day she looked out the window, and unfortunately for you, she saw one of your dogs taking a sunbath on the roof of her car. I absolutely believe her. Otherwise, she would have come to you immediately and said, listen, I have to pin this on somebody. I might as well pin it on your dogs. Right?
Well, I didn't want to pin it on anybody, but I knew it was her dogs because they were in the backyard unsupervised, and there was 3 of them.
I don't care whether it was 3 of them or not. She could have had 30 dogs unsupervised. Unless you saw one on the roof, you weren't going to convince me that her dogs are responsible.
She continued to park her car there for a month after this had already happened.
She what?
If my dogs did it, why would she continue to park her car where my dogs were and continue to let her car be damaged?
What would you prefer that she do? Rent a car
we have a
space someplace
driveway
else?
that fits outside of the gate where my dogs usually are. There's a driveway that fits 4 cars.
Where do you park your car?
I park my car in the gate, but sometimes I park it outside of the gate.
But you park your car behind the gate. Shh, listen to me carefully. You live in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Is there a reason you park your car behind the gate?
I park my car behind the gate because I have a son, so it's easier to let him in and out.
How old is your son?
2 years old.
So he gets in and out of the car by himself?
No, I'm saying.
So what difference does it make whether you
when
park
I pull
the car
in the back,
in the gate?
like have the groceries and everything, I'm not
Ms. Golden,
worried about
you got an
letting
answer
him out.
for everything. Charging for the plaintiff the amount of $2,400. That's all. Go get the car painted.